The goddess's small treasury was squandered. Leng Qianxue, can you lend me your phone? I'm going to get something. Okay, Mingyu. Leng Qianxue, could you please enter your password? No problem. Hello, miss, your card balance is insufficient and cannot be paid. Chapter 1, Back to 2012. I've been reborn. Mingyu's gaze swept across the surrounding environment, his eyes filled with confusion and shock, mixed with a deep sense of joy. That's right. He had been reborn. He had returned from 2025 to 2012, an era on the verge of being swept away by the internet, a time just before the global spread of 4G networks. With the advent of 4G technology, the world had fully entered the era of mobile internet. At the same time, the global e-commerce wars came to an end. During this period, China's economy grew rapidly, much like bamboo shoots emerging after the rain. Soon, short video apps like Douyin and Kuaishou appeared, and live streaming platforms experienced a spring unlike anything seen in a century. Of course, the business world is like a battlefield, with intense competition and constant power struggles among major companies. Moreover, numerous industries related to the internet started to develop rapidly, all racing to get ahead. But Mingyu was different. With the memories of his past life, this would be his era. Although I have the memories of my past life, I still need to make my first fortune. After all, right now I'm just a senior in high school. Mingyu narrowed his eyes and fell into thought. Although his past life memories were rich, starting a business still required initial capital. Mingyu glanced at the clock. It was 9 p.m. on October 10th. The National Day holiday had just passed, and as a soon-to-be university student, his break was exactly 3 days long. If I had known, I should have paid more attention to the lottery. I could have gotten rich right here, but alas. Mingyu sighed deeply in regret. Never mind. I still have to attend classes after I wake up. Mingyu struggled for a moment but abandoned the unrealistic thought in his mind. Since he had been reborn, making money had to be done step by step. With that thought, Mingyu lay down on the bed and went to sleep. The next day, Mingyu woke up early. After enjoying a hearty breakfast lovingly prepared by his mother, Li Xiaoling, Mingyu, with a slightly bulging stomach, rode his bicycle towards Hangzhou No. 5 High School. Hangzhou No. 5 is one of the top schools in the city. However, it couldn't compare to Hangzhou No. 1 High School, the most prestigious institution in the city. Hangzhou No. 1 High School ranks among the top 10 nationwide, and it is the undisputed strongest key school in Zhejiang province. After a few minutes, Mingyu successfully arrived at Hangzhou No. 5. Who would have thought that 13 years later, I would return here? Mingyu said, looking at the crowded students on campus, a nostalgic smile appearing on his face. He then pushed his bike toward the school gate. At the entrance, where crowds gathered, it was prohibited to ride bicycles for safety reasons. Mingyu's class was Senior Year 3, Class 10. There were 25 classes in total for Senior Year 3, with 15 of them being science classes, and the remaining 10 were arts classes. Among the arts classes, only 2 were elite classes, Senior Year 3, Class 21 and Class 23. In comparison, the science elite classes were more numerous. Classes 1 to 5 in Senior Year 3 were all key elite classes. Class 5, in particular, was a gathering place for the brightest students at Hangzhou No. 5, with almost all of the top science students. As for the remaining regular science classes, their differences weren't significant. Mingyu had arrived early, so the classroom was still not very crowded. His gaze fell on the familiar yet unfamiliar faces of his classmates, and he couldn't help but feel emotional. After graduation, the only time he saw his classmates again was at a reunion in 2015, and after that, everyone was busy with their own affairs, losing contact with one another. The one person he stayed in contact with the most was his female deskmate. The girl he couldn't stop thinking about even after years, Hangzhou No. 5's undisputed school beauty, Leng Qianxue. Even after all these years, Leng Qianxue's beauty was unmatched in Mingyu's heart. In the future, the internet era would give rise to countless school beauties and online celebrities, but in Mingyu's eyes, compared to Leng Qianxue, they all paled in comparison. Whether it was her figure or her looks, Leng Qianxue was in a league of her own. Leng Qianxue's presence was like a goddess in the entertainment industry, timeless and always fresh. Thinking of Leng Qianxue, Mingyu's eyes suddenly lit up. This school beauty seemed to have the identity of a wealthy woman. He remembered that after high school graduation, Leng Qianxue's best friend had revealed something shocking in the class group. Leng Qianxue had already amassed a fortune worth millions during high school. What surprised everyone even more was that her $1 million assets were swindled by her roommate during her first year of college. The reason was that Leng Qianxue was too naive and lacked a sense of caution. Under the sweet words of her roommate, she had been deceived into giving up her fortune. But in the end, that $1 million fortune was recovered. After all, someone with millions in assets couldn't be an ordinary person. As for the roommate who scammed her, the outcome was obvious. Defrauding more than $1 million would naturally result in serious legal consequences. A few years in prison would be the lightest punishment. Leng Qianxue seems to have potential. Mingyu rubbed his chin, already having a plan in mind. Good morning, Mingyu. Suddenly, a crisp and pleasant voice interrupted Mingyu's thoughts. Good morning, Qianxue. Mingyu turned around and saw his female deskmate, the school beauty Leng Qianxue. In her simple school uniform, Leng Qianxue's graceful figure was still evident. With her delicate features, long hair cascading like a waterfall over her shoulders, and her tall, slender legs that made countless boys swoon, she was undeniably beautiful. Mingyu couldn't help but stare, lost in admiration. As expected of the school's once-in-a-century beauty, her looks and figure were unbeatable. WH. What are you looking at? Seeing Mingyu's fixed gaze, Leng Qianxue's face flushed slightly. At that moment, the first rays of sunshine filtered into the classroom, and with Leng Qianxue's slightly flushed face, it was like a picture-perfect scene. Absolutely stunning. With such a beautiful school beauty in front of me, who else could I look at? Mingyu smiled and said. During high school, Leng Qianxue had very few male friends, and Mingyu was one of them. Of course, it wasn't just because they were deskmates, it was also because Mingyu himself was very good-looking. The attraction between the opposite sexes is especially strong when both parties are attractive. So, for Mingyu, Leng Qianxue also greatly admired him. We've been deskmates for 2 years, it's not like you've never seen me before. Leng Qianxue pretended to be calm. Mingyu couldn't help but smile slightly. He noticed that Leng Qianxue's face had turned even redder, and for a moment, he found himself staring at her, lost in thought. Without realizing it, he blurted out. 2 years is nothing. I'd be happy to look at you for a lifetime, though. In his past life, Mingyu had always admired Leng Qianxue, but after their graduation and the news about her family's financial situation came to light, he buried this love deep within his heart. Chapter 2, Investing in Stocks. However, as university life began, and later his entry into the workforce, Mingyu's feelings gradually faded. After all, the gap between their family backgrounds was like an insurmountable chasm. With that, he came to terms with reality. Apart from cold Qianxue, he had once loved a girl and had a passionate relationship. Unfortunately, they eventually broke up. Mingyu, driven by the pain of this breakup, got drunk and had an accident, which led to his rebirth back in 2012. At this moment, his mindset had completely changed compared to 13 years ago. Facing cold Qianxue, there was no longer any inferiority left from his past life. Armed with the valuable memories of his previous life and his wisdom, this era would be his to conquer. He swore that he would fulfill the regrets of his past life. I will definitely pursue cold Qianxue in this life, no matter the obstacles, I will never let go. Mingyu, you're not serious, are you? Watching me for a lifetime? You must be joking. Hearing this, cold Qianxue's face became even redder, and her embarrassment deepened. To others, it seemed like a confession. After all, she was the school's undisputed beauty, the goddess in countless boys' hearts. There were endless suitors, and love letters poured in constantly. Yet, no one had dared to confess to her face before. And now Mingyu's directness was truly unparalleled. In an instant, cold Qianxue's heart raced. After all, she had always admired Mingyu and harbored some fondness for him. Mingyu had a handsome face, a tall figure, and was naturally adored by many girls, including cold Qianxue. Had their family situations not been so different in the past, perhaps Mingyu would have shed his inferiority and pursued cold Qianxue, and they could have been a perfect couple. But sadly, that was just a what if. However, now it was different. Mingyu had been reborn and had been given a second chance by the heavens. He would not give up. All right, I'm not teasing you anymore. Look at how nervous you are. Mingyu noticed cold Qianxue's flustered reaction and realized something was different. His sharp eyes could see the subtle change in her expression. He couldn't help but wonder, does she like me? No, that's not right. This probably isn't love. Although cold Qianxue's face was flushed, it was likely because she didn't know how to respond to his words. From Mingyu's perspective, cold Qianxue was probably only harboring some slight affection for him, but not full-blown love. Still, this was enough to excite him. After all, with this layer of affection, his chances of winning her over had greatly increased. Was I really such a bookworm in my past life? How did I not notice such an obvious expression? Mingyu muttered to himself. Millimeter, Qianxue, there is something I want to discuss with you. Mingyu lowered his voice to cold Qianxue. At this point in 2012, Bitcoin was just over $100, and in China, it was worth around 1,000 renminbi. But soon, Bitcoin would undergo a dramatic change. In less than 3 months, its price would soar from over $100 to more than $1,000. Back then, Bitcoin caused a stir in the world's economy, with a price difference of more than tenfold. But after reaching its peak, it would plummet. However, Mingyu wasn't concerned about that. What mattered to him was the next 3 months. If he could buy a significant amount of Bitcoin, he could make a profit of several times over in just 3 months. Therefore, his attention shifted to cold Qianxue's wealth. Have you run into any trouble? If I can help, I'll do it, cold Qianxue said without hesitation. Although cold Qianxue had a cold, distant demeanor and gave off a vibe of being hard to approach, she was warm and generous toward her close friends. Otherwise, the incident with her lost assets would never have happened. I've received reliable information that a company's stock is going to increase in value soon. I want to buy some shares, but I don't have much money, so. Of course, Mingyu didn't directly mention Bitcoin. Bitcoin was mostly known internationally, and few people in China were aware of it. Even if he mentioned buying Bitcoin, cold Qianxue might not lend him money for that. Even though he was talking about buying stocks, Mingyu wasn't entirely sure about it. What? You know about buying stocks? Cold Qianxue asked, surprised, her eyes full of curiosity. Cough, cough. I know a little, Mingyu said, not entirely lying. He did know a bit about stocks. In his past life, he had made about 1 million yuan through stock trading. Okay, I'll lend you the money, but you need to promise me one thing. Cold Qianxue said after a slight pause. No problem. Whatever you ask, as long as you lend me the money. Mingyu replied quickly. As long as he could get his first capital, he'd be willing to do anything. It's simple. I want to participate in your plan too. Cold Qianxue said seriously. Since childhood, she had received a large amount of red envelope money, and now her savings totaled 1 million. However, she had never had a plan for this money. Mingyu's words made her rethink things, and she wanted to make something of herself to prove her ability to her parents. As for lending him the money, it was because cold Qianxue trusted Mingyu's character. After years of sitting next to him, she had never doubted him. In her eyes, Mingyu would never deceive her. Okay, a small matter. Then let us divide the tasks simply. You provide the money, and I'll handle the operation. We'll split the profits evenly. Mingyu's eyes lit up, his plan was finally ready to begin. After all, cold Qianxue had assets worth 1 million. If he could invest those assets into Bitcoin, 3 months later, they could have over 10 million in returns. Even after deducting the principal, they'd still have at least 10 million in profit, and splitting it evenly would give him 5 million. Just the thought of it was thrilling. Millimeter, I'll follow your lead, cold Qianxue nodded. She thought Mingyu would only invest a few 100,000, and even if there were losses, it wouldn't be a big deal for her. Moreover, 1 million wasn't considered a large fortune in her family. What she didn't know was that Mingyu's goal wasn't stocks, but Bitcoin, which would skyrocket in value in 3 months. At the same time, the money Mingyu needed to borrow wasn't a small amount, but her entire fortune. Great. We'll talk more about the details after school. Mingyu grinned. Chapter 3, The First Investment. Millimeter hum. Cold Qianxue nodded slightly before opening her textbook to review. After all, the 3rd year of high school is busy, and everyone is preparing for the college entrance examination. Seeing this, Mingyu also took out his textbook to review. But not long after, he felt a wave of confusion. It had been 13 years since his third year of high school, and he had already forgotten everything in the textbooks. Trying to study now felt like reading a foreign language. This won't do. Although I was careless in my previous life, at least I got into a university. Mingyu thought to himself. Now that I've been reborn, if I can't even get into a junior college, wouldn't that be too embarrassing? It seems I can't only focus on making money. I must balance both. Mingyu said with a bitter smile, shaking off his discouragement, and then focused on his books. Fortunately, since it was a review period for third-year students, the desk was filled with review materials from all subjects, allowing him to study at his own pace. He grabbed the English textbook first. Forget about the rest for now. I should at least review my English vocabulary first, he thought. Arbar, do. Mingyu then started seriously memoizing words. According to his plan, he first had to go through the vocabulary in the textbook, and then study them systematically. In less than 20 minutes, he had gone through the entire first-year English textbook. Phew. He closed the book and took a deep breath. Now, let's start the real work of memoizing vocabulary. However, just as he rolled up his sleeves and prepared to start, he was puzzled to find that the words he had just read were deeply etched in his mind, like a brand, impossible to forget. Wait. What is this? Mingyu thought, his eyes flickering. He then closed the textbook. According to the order of words in the textbook, the next one should be A, B, A, C, K, aback. He slowly opened the page to check the first word. As expected, the first word was indeed aback. To make sure there were no mistakes, Mingyu scrambled the order and attempted to recall the words from memory, then checked their positions in the textbook. To his astonishment, the words in his mind perfectly matched the positions in the textbook. What? Is this serious? Mingyu was stunned. I only skimmed through once, and it's already stuck in my head. Even at my peak in my previous life, I never had this kind of ability. Could it be because of the fusion of the two souls? Has the merging of my past and present selves given me this photographic memory? Before he knew it, a day had passed. Mingyu was immersed in his review, and through his practice, he realized that not only could he memorize things instantly, but his thinking abilities had also greatly improved. Even with some very difficult physics problems, once he glanced at them, he could immediately understand the solution steps and could apply them in other situations. These symptoms were simply unprecedented. As for all of this, Mingyu ultimately attributed it to the merging of his two souls. After all, who knew what the effect of the fusion of two souls would be? Mingyu, let's go. After class, Leng Qianxue called out to Mingyu. Millimeter. Let's go to the coffee shop and talk. Mingyu replied. With that, Mingyu stepped out of the classroom. A coffee shop? Then let's head to Starbucks. Leng Qianxue said with a slight pause, then added, it's my usual spot. The decor is lovely, and the environment is great for conversation. Sure. With that, they both headed to the bike parking area. They were both day students in the class, so they didn't stay in the dorms. My god, Leng Qianxue is actually riding home with Mingyu? This news is explosive. Oh no, look at how close they are. Are they dating? No way. Leng Qianxue is my goddess. How could he make a move on her? Since they were in a hurry to discuss their investment plans, they didn't pay attention to the curious gazes of others, confidently riding their bikes off. Soon, the explosive news of the school goddess secretly meeting the innocent young boyfriend spread across the school. Neither of them noticed the gossip. Not long after, they arrived at the nearby Starbucks. Mingyu, tell me your thoughts. Which company's stock are you planning to invest in? Leng Qianxue said directly after ordering coffee. She was eager to prove herself and wanted to use Mingyu's reliable information to make money, so she could impress her parents. Give me your iPhone 5S, I'll download an app, Mingyu said with a smile. By 2012, Apple had already entered the Chinese market. The iPhone not only represented advanced mobile technology but also symbolized status. The phone had a variety of apps, including investment apps. These days, people didn't need to go to a securities office to open an account. They could fill out their personal details on an investment app and start investing. As for Bitcoin, there was also a dedicated app for it. Sure. Without hesitation, Leng Qianxue handed her phone to Mingyu. Mingyu first connected to the shop SWI fee and then downloaded the Bitcoin app. The ID and password would naturally come from Leng Qianxue. Soon, Mingyu arrived at the data entry section. Since the iPhone automatically linked to her bank account, he filled in Leng Qianxue's details. 10 minutes later, Mingyu had completed the necessary steps and logged into the Bitcoin app. He immediately checked the Bitcoin trading price for the day. It showed 1 Bitcoin equals $130. According to the exchange rate, that was around 910 renminbi. How much do you have in your account? Mingyu casually asked. Based on his previous life's knowledge, Leng Qianxue's assets were around $1 million, but he didn't know the exact amount. In his plan, he intended to invest all of her wealth into Bitcoin. If they bought Bitcoin worth 100 renminbi, in 3 months, the return would be over 1,000 renminbi. The potential return was irresistible. Mingyu wanted to invest all of Leng Qianxue's wealth. Though he was hiding this part of his plan, he believed that after seeing the returns from Bitcoin, she would have no complaints. About 1.1 million, Leng Qianxue said after thinking for a moment. Got it. Mingyu nodded, then browsed through the recent Bitcoin trade orders. 1.1 million renminbi was equivalent to about $157,000, which meant he could buy 1,208 Bitcoins. Mingyu immediately browsed through the seller's trade orders and locked in his target. Without hesitation, he made the purchase. Chapter 4: Prodigal Behavior. Of course, after the order is generated, payment must be made within 30 minutes, otherwise the order will be cancelled. After a quick check, Mingyu discovered that the number of Bitcoins was a little overspent, reaching 1,210. With the extra 2 Bitcoins, he wondered whether Leng Qianxue's balance could complete the payment. Her family is so rich, so there shouldn't be any problem, right? Then, Mingyu clicked on payment, and the app directly jumped to the page of mobile phone verification code and mobile phone payment password. Qianxue, you still have to enter the payment password. As soon as he finished speaking, Mingyu handed the phone to Leng Qianxue. It's too troublesome. I'll just tell you the payment password. You do it. Leng Qianxue waved her jade hand slightly, and then told Mingyu the payment password. She still trusts Mingyu. Of course, apart from being friends, her fondness for Mingyu plays an extremely crucial role. Okay. Mingyu nodded, then entered the password to complete the transaction. Ding! Your account XX001 has completed 1210 Bitcoin orders, the amount of XXXX yuan has been deducted, and the current balance is XX yuan. Byte. Ding! Your current balance is 50.50 yuan. In less than a minute, Mingyu completely squandered Leng Qianxue's assets. That's right. Lost everything. In the minds of people today, using assets to purchase virtual currency is a complete spendthrift. But only Mingyu knows what kind of craze Bitcoin will cause in the global economy in the next period of time. However, he also knows that Bitcoin is just a business model for merchants to make money. However, with the advantage of his past life memories, he can get out of the market unscathed when the price of Bitcoin is at its highest. By then, with 5 million in startup capital, he will naturally shift his target to other places. After all, a little bit of gambling can make you happy, but if you gamble too much, you will definitely be killed by the dealer. Moreover, he only purchased more than 1,000 Bitcoins, which is completely insignificant in the huge market of tens of thousands of Bitcoins. Qianxue, I've already bought it. Looking at the bank balance information on the phone, Mingyu handed the phone to Leng Qianxue with an evasive look. Leng Qianxue's millions of assets were completely squandered by him. But soon, Mingyu calmed down. According to memories from previous lives, not long after that, Bitcoin completely went out of control in the financial circle, and its price skyrocketed, although there were some fluctuations in between. But he understood that in 3 months, Bitcoin would reach its peak value, soaring more than 10 times. So fast. How much money did you spend in total? Leng Qianxue asked with a blink of her beautiful eyes. A little too much, about this. As he spoke, Mingyu raised a finger with a guilty look on his face. Representing more than 1 million. Well, there shouldn't be much difference between 1.1 million and 1 million, right? 100,000. That's good. Then according to your information, when should we sell these stocks? Leng Qianxue thought that Mingyu's investment was 100,000, so she didn't care much about it. What she is concerned about is when she can see the benefits. A little more than 100,000. But don't worry, we can sell these things in 3 months and make a huge profit. Of course, after a while, you will be able to see the changes in the values above. Mingyu said slowly. Really? That's great. Mingyu, thank you so much. When we make a lot of money, I will treat you to a luxurious dinner. It's getting late, I have to go back first. Leng Qianxue said excitedly. As for what Mingyu just said about more than 100,000, she didn't really care. Mingyu is a student like her, so I think the maximum cost would be a few 100,000. This amount of money is nothing to her. Qianxue, Actually, I spent more than 100,000. After all, it was $1 million asset, so Mingyu felt that he still needed to explain it, otherwise it would cause unnecessary misunderstandings. No. Leng Qianxue waved her hand and said nonchalantly. If it's over 100,000, then it's over. I believe you can help me make money. Well, let's not talk about it for now. It's getting late and I have to go back for dinner. Well, I'll pay for the coffee. You should go home early too. Then, Leng Qianxue got up, packed her things and left. Almost 2 hours have passed since school was over. If she didn't go back, her family would call to urge her, so she hurriedly paid for the coffee and left, without checking the text messages on her phone. As long as she glanced at her mobile phone, she could see that the millions of assets she had saved since childhood had been completely squandered, and the remaining balance was only 50 yuan. Why? Mingyu's gaze fell on Leng Qianxue's hurriedly departing figure. He opened his mouth slightly but didn't know what to say. Forget it. There's no point in saying anything now, I'll explain it to her later. Starting tomorrow it will be a rare weekend for high school students, as their National Day holiday is only 3 days, and they have had classes for 8 consecutive days since the 4th. Therefore, the school gave them a short holiday on the weekend. Afterwards, Mingyu rode his bike back home and lay on the bed, lost in thought. 3 months later he will be able to recover the first startup capital. What project should this money be used for? He wants to invest and make money. As for starting a company, he had never thought about it. After all, managing and operating something was too time-consuming, so he planned to target those companies with great commercial potential. At that time, a round of investment will be carried out, and then the company's stock market value will be sold after it increases. After all, one cannot hang oneself on one tree. In the future technological era, countless companies will emerge like mushrooms after a rain and occupy most of the economic era. Then he can hide behind the scenes and collect money. In addition to investing in enterprises, he can also invest in monster stocks. Because in his previous life, the stock market has fluctuated greatly in recent years, so he remembers it clearly. Then you can operate it properly. Dad. Mom. After finishing his thoughts, Mingyu got up and went to their hall. Looking at his parents busy in the kitchen, he couldn't help but smile happily. Before traveling through time, my parents were already old and had difficulty moving around, but since they worked in a state-owned enterprise, they had company pensions to support their retirement after retirement. Although the family is not wealthy, it is at least a well-off family. After all, their combined monthly income of both parents is almost 40,000 yuan. Excluding taxes, their combined annual salary is about 400,000 yuan. You came back without even saying hello to us. Ming's mother scolded with a smile. Okay, wash your hands quickly and get ready for dinner. Okay, Mom. Mingyu responded with a smile. Chapter 5 I treated you as a sister, but you abused me like a dog. After dinner, Mingyu returned to his room, turned on his computer and logged into QQ. Since he is still a high school student, his family did not buy him a mobile phone. At this moment, he didn't even have a SIM card, let alone prestige. Classmates can only chat with each other through QQ. Mingyu looked at Leng Qianxue's QQ profile picture, thought about it carefully, and decided that it was necessary to explain to her. After all, it involves millions of assets. If I don't explain it clearly and Leng Qianxue misunderstands me, it will be troublesome. He quickly sent a message. Qianxue, the investment funds spent today are not 100,000, but more than 1.1 million. Please contact me if you see the news, or you can call my home phone 135. After doing all this, he closed his computer, picked up his textbook and prepared to review. Since his rebirth has endowed him with a photographic memory and incredible thinking, he should cherish this opportunity and get into a key university, otherwise even God will not tolerate it. Mingyu spent the whole night reviewing. However, he didn't know, so he had contacted Leng Qianxue via QQ, but Leng Qianxue was not online, so she did not receive the information that his millions of assets had been spent by him. Today, afternoon. At Leng Qianxue, a beautiful girl appeared in the crowd. Her skin as white as cream and her delicate face made passers-by unable to help but take a second look. Many boys were drooling so much that they didn't even notice they bumped into the railing in front of them. The girl was wearing a light blue halter dress and a pair of blue butterfly shoes. With a slightly raised corner of her mouth, the youthful aura came to her face. "Xue, I'm here." Just as the girl was looking around as if looking for someone, a girl in a JK uniform waved at her not far away. Obviously, the two are acquaintances. There was another girl next to the girl in the JK uniform, who was equally beautiful and almost as pretty as the girl named Xue. "Xue Ru, Qin. Hearing this, the girl named Xue walked over with a smile on her face. If Mingyu was here at this moment, he would definitely recognize that the girl named Xue is Leng Qianxue. The girl named Qin is also his classmate, named Li Qin, and she is wearing a JK uniform. The girl whose appearance was incomparably similar to Leng Qianxue was Xue Ru, whose full name was Tang Xue Ru. The three of them are all best friends. Li Qin and Leng Qianxue were not only classmates in high school, but also in junior high school. As for Tang Xue, she was a classmate of Leng Qianxue in junior high school. When they were in junior high school, Leng Qianxue and Tang Xue were both listed as the most beautiful school beauties in history. Both of them have gentle personalities, and they hit it off from the first sight, and became best friends after getting to know each other. After the high school entrance examination, Leng Qianxue and Li Qin were admitted to Hangzhou No. 5 Middle School, while Tang Xue was admitted to Hangzhou No. 1 Middle School. Of course, as Leng Qianxue and Tang Xue's best friend, Li Qin is also a great beauty, but her appearance is slightly inferior to the other two girls. Even so, she is still a stunning beauty among the crowd. But unfortunately, with two more beautiful girlfriends around her, people often ignore her existence. However, the relationship between the three of them is very good, and Li Qin is also a generous person and does not care about these things. "Xue, which brand of clothes do you plan to buy today?" Li Qin asked with a smile. They came out for only one purpose, which was to accompany Leng Qianxue to buy clothes. In Hangzhou, the weather is still quite hot even in October, so they all wear cooler clothes. But according to their weather forecast, the season will change in about 10 days, so Leng Qianxue plans to buy some autumn clothes. "Baby, please help me pick things out first. I don't even know what to buy," Leng Qianxue said with a pout. "Okay, then go for a walk with our big baby." Tang Xue and Li Qin looked at each other and both smiled sweetly. Then the three of them walked hand in hand towards the inside of the square clothing area on the third floor of Lingqian Plaza. Leng Qianxue happily took a light green coat and went to change her clothes. "Do you think it's suitable for me?" After Leng Qianxue came out of the fitting room, she turned around beautifully. "It's very good. This European light green jacket matches your black hair, it's absolutely amazing." Li Qin looked at it carefully and gave a thumbs up. "It really goes well together." Tang Xue next to her also agreed. "I think so too, so let's buy it." Leng Qianxue showed a sweet smile, coupled with her shallow dimples. The staff in the store were stunned. "Xue, don't you want to pick something else?" Li Qin said with a smile. "Let's not worry about the other things for now. We are still high school students and usually wear school uniforms. We seldom have the chance to wear the ones we buy ourselves." Leng Qianxue thought for a moment and waved her hand. Generally speaking, they can only wear the casual clothes they buy during their spare time on weekends. That makes sense. Li Qin thought about it and realized that no matter how many clothes she bought, she wouldn't have much chance to wear them. After all, they were all studying in a key high school, and the school was very strict about clothing. "I'll pick out a long-sleeved one." Afterwards, Leng Qianxue picked out a gray and white long-sleeved shirt. Just as she was about to try it on, Li Qin next to her quietly touched her with her arm. "Xue, are you and Mingyu really going to have a relationship?" The news of Leng Qianxue and Mingyu leaving school together on bicycles yesterday spread throughout the school, so of course she heard about it. Normally, she would accompany Leng Qianxue home, but because the teacher asked her to do something yesterday, she went to the teacher's office after class. But when he came back, he found that Leng Qianxue had disappeared. What's going on? What are you talking about? Leng Qianxue looked at Li Qinqin in confusion after hearing that. She knew nothing about the scandal between her and Mingyu that was spreading wildly in the school. Oh, my baby, are you playing dumb with me? The news that you went home with Mingyu after school yesterday spread throughout the school, Swear. We swore to be single and noble. I treated you as a sister, but you treated me like a dog and abused me. This is too much. Tell us quickly, how far have you come? Have you kissed? Have you done that? Li Qinqin showed a wicked smile and grabbed Leng Qianxue's buttocks hard. It is true that when women act like hooligans, men are left far behind. Don't think too much. We are going back together because we have something to discuss. Leng Qianxue rolled her eyes helplessly, feeling a little amused. Afterwards, she told Li Qinqin about her and Mingyu buying stocks together. Chapter 6. Your balance is insufficient. What? You actually invested in stocks? Investing in stocks is no joke. Are you sure you can do it? Li Qinqin frowned and said worriedly. Don't worry, I know Mingyu's character. Leng Qianxue said immediately. After all, they have been desk mates for 2 years, so she knows Mingyu quite well. What you said makes sense. Li Qinqin said, touching her chin. She also agreed with Mingyu's character. Not only was he a sunny person, but he was also very handsome. Most importantly, as Leng Qianxue's best friend, she naturally knew that Leng Qianxue actually had some feelings for Mingyu. After all, Leng Qianxue always looks unapproachable in front of other boys, but she always smiles to Mingyu. There's nothing I can do about it. It's Mingyu's fault for having the face of a school idol. My baby, you have to seize this good opportunity and see if you can make some other progress with Mingyu. Li Qinqin said with a sly smile. Mingyu is not only good-looking, but also gentle in his behavior. In her eyes, Mingyu and Leng Qianxue are simply a perfect match. Don't make fun of me. I didn't want to consider falling in love before college. Leng Qianxue said with a twinkle in her eyes. In love? Who is in love? Shui, have you fallen in love? At this time, Tang Xueruo had just come out of the fitting room after changing her clothes. When she heard Leng Qianxue say the word falling in love, she was immediately filled with gossipy excitement. No, how could it be possible? Leng Qianxue quickly explained, and then informed Tang Xueruo about the joint stock investment with Mingyu. That's it? You instantly poured cold water on my desire to read gossip. Tang Xueruo's face was full of regret. You two spectators, just go buy a watermelon and eat it by yourselves. I'm going to pay the bill. Leng Qianxue scolded with a smile. Then she changed her clothes and asked the staff to calculate the price. Hello. The total cost of your 2 pieces of clothing is 688 yuan, said the staff member with a smile. Okay. Pay with card. In 2012, QR code payment was not yet popular. After all, Weixin had only been launched not long ago. Therefore, consumers mostly pay with cash or bank cards. As for Leng Qianxue, she basically used bank cards to pay. Sorry, your bank card balance is insufficient, the staff member said with a strange look. What? There's no money in my bank card. Leng Qianxue said in disbelief. Yes, your balance is indeed not enough to pay, said the staff. How is that possible? There is more than 1 million in my card. You must have swiped the wrong card. Try swiping it again. Leng Qianxue said hurriedly. That's fine. Upon hearing this, the staff's faces changed. This girl is only in her teens, but she has more than 1 million in her card. She is definitely a rich second generation. Immediately, she swiped it again. Your money is indeed not enough to pay, the staff member said firmly. How is that possible? Leng Qianxue held the bank card with a frown on her face. Shui, what's wrong? Tang Xueruo and Li Qinqin next to them noticed something was wrong and came over to ask. There's no money in my bank card. Leng Qianxue said with a gloomy expression. How is that possible? You have more than 1.1 million in your card. Upon hearing this, Li Qinqin's face changed drastically. With such a large amount of change, there must be a text message notification on your phone. You should check it out quickly. Tang Xueruo said carefully. That's right. Leng Qianxue came back to her senses and quickly took out her cell phone to check the text messages. In fact, this was also an accident. Due to the underdeveloped level of technology, she often receives spam messages from e-commerce companies, so she usually doesn't read messages. In addition, during the transaction yesterday, the phone was in Mingyu's hands the whole time, so she didn't pay much attention to it. And in order to hurry home, she left in a hurry, and Mingyu had no time to explain. So until now she didn't know that the finger Mingyu stretched out represented more than 1 million, not 100,000. Oh my god. After reading the message, Leng Qianxue opened her mouth slightly and let out a scream. All of his assets were actually used to buy stocks. How's the situation? Wasn't it stolen by black technology? Tang Shuaru and Li Qinqin walked forward and asked with worried faces. Mingyu has squandered all my money. Leng Qianxue said with tears in her eyes. Now she finally understood what Mingyu's raised finger meant. No way. That's more than 1.1 million. He spent it all. Didn't you say before that you only spent hundreds of thousands? Tang Shuaruo and Li Qinqin screamed in unison. I misunderstood. I just checked the information and Mingyu spent more than 1.1 million of my money. I only have 50 yuan in my bank card now. Leng Qianxue's mouth twitched, and she handed the phone screen to her two best friends, feeling very depressed. Mingyu. Is this guy planning to swindle your money? Tang Shuaro and Li Qinqin looked at each other and spoke with worried expressions. You must be overthinking it. I used my personal account to buy stocks yesterday, and it was bound to my personal information. He wanted to tell me that he spent more than 1.1 million yuan in total, but I was in a hurry to go home and didn't let him finish his words. Leng Qianxue thought carefully about what happened yesterday and then spoke. I think so too. Li Qinqin and Mingyu have been classmates for many years, and Li Qinqin knows him quite well. It's hard to say. What if all this was set up by him? Suppose he had already made an agreement with the stock owner that the stock would plummet in the near future. Compared to the two people's blind trust, Tang Shuaro was relatively rational. After all, she was standing from the perspective of a bystander. This, considering Mingyu's character, he shouldn't do this, right? Hearing this, Leng Qianxue retorted in a low voice without confidence. She has always admired Mingyu, and even has some good feelings towards him in her heart. If Mingyu really deceived her, it would really hurt her heart. Okay, there's no point in saying more. Since the stocks have already been purchased, we need to discuss it with Mingyu to see what the situation is. No matter what the result is, you must be mentally prepared. Your millions of dollars may be wasted. After all, whether it's personal information or personal accounts, the stocks are all tied to you. If there is a sharp drop in the value of the stocks, resulting in the loss of all assets, it will not be blamed on Mingyu. Chapter 7. Earn 20,000 yuan a day. He can get away with it if he wants to. Now we can only pray that he won't do that. Tang Shuaro took a deep breath and said solemnly. No, you have forgotten one thing. Stocks may rise or fall. If we find out in time that the stock price is falling, we can sell it in the shortest time possible. Li Qinqin said quickly. Qinqin, you think it's too simple. It's not so easy to sell stocks that have plummeted. Tang Shuaro reminded again. That seems to be what you said. Hearing this, Li Qinqin's face suddenly fell. It's pointless for us to discuss this now, so we might as well contact Mingyu first. Then Leng Qianxue took out her cell phone and wanted to call Mingyu, but the next second her mouth twitched. What happened again? Li Qinqin asked hurriedly. I forgot that I don't have his contact information on my phone. Leng Qianxue touched her head awkwardly. There's no phone number, but there should be QQ, right? Tang Shuaro said carefully. That makes sense. I'll go check it out now. Hearing this, Leng Qianxue quickly opened her phone and logged into QQ. EPO. She bought the E5S not long ago, and she doesn't use QQ very often, so although she has the QQ app, she has never logged into it. DD. As soon as she logged in, her phone began to vibrate violently. She took a closer look and found that it was a message from Mingyu. Qianxue, the investment amount today is not 100,000, but more than 1.1 million. Please contact me if you see the message, or you can call my home phone number 135. Seeing this, Leng Qianxue finally felt relieved. She knew that Mingyu would not lie to her. If he wanted to lie to her, why would he go to the trouble of explaining? Angel Shui, Mingyu, are you there? Afterwards, Leng Qianxue quickly sent a message, feeling secretly happy in her heart. That's great. I knew Mingyu didn't lie to me. In less than 10 seconds, Mingyu sent a message. Astronomy and geography, yes, you are finally online. Mingyu, who was far away at home, finally breathed a sigh of relief. He was taking advantage of the weekend to review his lessons. God has given him such an incredible ability, so he naturally has to use it properly and get into a key university. Angel Schwer, Mingyu, where did my money go? Leng Qianxue asked, pretending to be a little angry. Astronomy and geography, you said that 1.1 million, I used it all to buy Bitcoin. Angel share, Bitcoin? What is that? Isn't it just buying stocks? Astronomy and geography, the two are almost the same. Angel Schwer, there is a huge difference. So what is the difference between them? Curious expression. Astronomy and geography, Bitcoin is a type of virtual currency and carries greater risks than stocks. After all, stocks themselves have limits on price fluctuations, and can fluctuate within 11% at most. Astronomy and geography, but virtual currency does not have this limitation, but high risks come with high returns. Angel Schwer, so that's how it is. But it's a bit scary that you spent more than 1.1 million in one go. You spent all my assets. Expression of wanting to cry but not having tears. Astronomy and geography, don't worry, in just 3 months, you will find out how terrifying the so-called high returns are. Angel Schwer, does it take so long to invest in this? Confused expression. Astronomy and geography, that's not necessary. According to my guess, the stock value of Bitcoin has been rising. You can check it on the internet and then compare it. By the way, the price I bought it yesterday was $130. Angel Schwer, is that so? I'll go check it out later. I won't chat with you for now. Bye. Smiling expression. Astronomy and geography, bye. After finishing the chat, Leng Qianxue turned off QQ and a smile appeared on her face. Although Mingyu spent more than 1.1 million yuan on investment, which was a bit beyond her expectations, she was more concerned about whether Mingyu had deceived her. After learning the truth, she felt much happier. As for the exact amount of investment, she didn't care at all. Although millions of assets were a huge sum in the eyes of ordinary people, it was just a drop in the bucket in her family. How is it? What is Mingyu's answer? Tang Xueruo and Leng Qianxue, who were standing next to her, saw Leng Qianxue put away her phone and hurried forward to ask. Mingyu didn't fray my money. Leng Qianxue smiled sweetly, and then told Tang Xueruo and the others about her conversation with Mingyu. Is this guy serious? Can he really get a huge return in just 3 months? Why do I feel that this is a little unlikely? Tang Xueruo frowned, revealing a questioning expression. She felt that Leng Qianxue was a little too trusting of Mingyu. Although that guy did not specify the amount of money that could be earned. But with $1 million in assets as a guarantee, he dared to say that it was a huge high recovery. It seems that the amount is at least around 5 or 6 million. If the other party was a business tycoon and said that he could make 5 or 6 million in 3 months, she would definitely believe it. But Mingyu was just an ordinary senior high school student, how could he do it? Okay, Xueru, I know you're worried that I'll be cheated by others, but I can still trust Mingyu, and he told me that the valuation of Bitcoin has been changing, so we can check it now. Leng Qianxue pulled Tang Xueruo's hand and hurriedly explained. Yes, I also think Mingyu is a trustworthy person. Leng Qianxue next to him also hurried to defend Mingyu. You too. Tang Xueruo rolled her eyes helplessly. When did this guy brainwash you? How could he make 2 beautiful women trust him so wholeheartedly? Since he swore that we can see the valuation of Bitcoin rising now, let us take a look. Okay. Leng Qianxue said this sweetly, then opened the Bitcoin-specific app to check the valuation changes. 1 Bitcoin is now worth $135, and when Mingyu bought it yesterday, it was still $130, an increase of about 0.04%. Leng Qianxue said after taking a closer look. So, each Bitcoin has risen by $5, and you bought 1,210 Bitcoins yesterday, which means you earned $6,050. If converted into RMB, that's more than 40,000 yuan. Oh my god, this growth rate is amazing. You made more than 40,000 yuan in just 1 day. Isn't the salary of ordinary white-collar workers just like that? After careful consideration, Tang Xueruo exclaimed. A mere high school girl can earn more than 40,000 yuan a day. Isn't that amazing? Could it be that Mingyu really has something extraordinary about him? Shueru, your math is not good. How could I make so much money? I only made 20,000, and 50% of it came from Mingyu. Upon hearing that she had earned 20,000 yuan in one day, Leng Qianxue had a sweet smile on her face. It seems that Mingyu really did not deceive himself. Chapter 8, Drag Dad into the Water. Oh, right, I almost forgot that the two of you split the profits in half. Hearing this, Tang Shuero remembered the agreement between them. For a moment, she couldn't help but envy Leng Qianxue. A high school student can earn 20,000 yuan in a day. Isn't he that amazing? The pocket money her family gave her was only 800 or 900 yuan a month, not even a fraction of what others gave her. But what's wrong with 800 or 900 yuan? To put it in mathematical terms, if we round it up, it's almost 10,000 yuan, okay? That's right, it's 10,000 yuan. My dear, I didn't expect you to make money so quickly. Aren't you going to treat us to a big dinner tonight? Tang Shueruo stared straight at Leng Qianxue. She was already prepared to have a free meal. It is simply against the will of heaven not to cheat your best friend who has money. Small problem. Small problem. Leng Qianxue agreed without any hesitation. Baby, have you forgotten that you don't even have 1,000 yuan in your current bank card? Li Qinqin next to her couldn't help laughing. Sister, how can you treat us to a meal when you don't even have money to buy clothes worth 688? Ahem. Sorry, I almost forgot, I don't have much money right now. Leng Qianxue then remembered that there was only 50 yuan left in her bank card, and she felt immediately embarrassed. As for Alipay and zero balance wallet. Sorry, she doesn't use it much, she just opened it for a while, and the total money in it is at most 100 yuan. It can be said that she is now the poorest of the three. Okay, I won't make things difficult for you. You've always treated us before, but today, let me, your sister, be generous and treat you to a big meal. Li Qinqin said with a smile. Although her family background was insignificant compared to Leng Qianxue's, it was still a well-off family, and her weekly pocket money was 300 to 400 yuan. In addition, she seldom spent money, so she had accumulated a considerable amount of money. Including the New Year's money, her current assets are about 60,000 yuan. A mere meal was more than enough for her. And this money is just pocket money, not living expenses. Qin has spoken, so I'll pay for your clothes. Tang Shueruo said. Normally when they go shopping with their girlfriends, Leng Qianxue usually pays for the bill. Only 2 or 3 times out of 10 do the two of them pay for the bill. Therefore, now that Leng Qianxue has no money, they naturally have no choice but to pay the bill. Thank you so much, my darlings. When I sell these bitcoins, I will definitely treat you to the most expensive meal. Leng Qianxue did not refuse. There was no need for them to care about these things between best friends. Mom, I'm back. Around 10 o'clock in the evening, Tang Shuero returned home. Tonight, the 3 girls first ate bullfrog at a bullfrog restaurant, and then went shopping for a while before going back. My dear daughter, you came back so late, you must be exhausted. Go take a shower quickly and make sure to rest early. After all, there are only a few hundred days left before the college entrance examination. You have to work hard to get into a 211 university. Tang Shueruo's mother Huang Xinyu reminded. Tang Shuero is their only daughter. Although Tang Shuer is a girl, she did not disappoint them. Not only did she attend Hangzhou No. 1 High School, a key high school ranked among the top 10 in the country, but her grades were also among the top 10 in the school. Tang Shueruo's teacher specially communicated with them. As long as Tang Shueruo can stabilize her condition during this period of time, there will be no problem in getting into a 211 or 985 university. If I can perform exceptionally well, I might even have a chance to get into Tsinghua University or Peking University. Don't worry, Mom. Tang Shuero said confidently. Apart from anything else, she was absolutely confident in her grades. What's going on, Dad? Tang Shueruo's eyes fell on Tang Qian, who was sitting on the sofa with a frown on his face and holding his phone tightly, and she couldn't help but ask cautiously. It's the same as always. The stocks I bought must have fallen in price. Huang Xinyu shook her head helplessly. Her husband is excellent in every way, but he has only one flaw: he is addicted to stock trading. Fortunately, Tang Qian had an idea in his mind and knew that the amount involved in the stock trading was neither large nor small. Even if there is a loss, it will not be serious. It's about stocks again. Tang Xueluo shook her head helplessly, but the next second, her eyes lit up, and she suddenly remembered Leng Qianxue's matter. The reason why she was able to speak eloquently about Leng Qianxue's stock investment in the afternoon was because her father was obsessed with stocks, and after a long time, she naturally understood something about it. The stocks my dad bought have fallen in price. Why don't I let him buy some Bitcoin to give it a try? As soon as this thought arose, it took root and sprouted wildly in her heart. Dad, do you know a virtual currency called Bitcoin? Tang Xueluo ran to the sofa and asked Tang Qian. Virtual currency? Bitcoin? What are you talking about? Tang Qian looked a little confused when he heard this. Cryptocurrency is essentially the same as stocks, and I have a friend who knows a thing or two about it. Afterwards, Tang Xueluo explained the nature of Bitcoin to Tang Qian in detail. Xueru, do you think this thing is reliable? He has been trading stocks for many years and naturally knows what virtual currency is, but he has always been skeptical. It should be somewhat certain. My friend bought more than 1,000 bitcoins yesterday, but he made more than 40,000 yuan in one day. Afterwards, Tang Xueluo told her father about Leng Qianxue. How is this possible? Recovering more than 40,000 yuan in just one day? How much was her investment? Hearing this, Tang Qian was full of surprise. About 1.1 million. Okay, but it's more than 1.1 million, and we can recover more than 40,000 in one day. Doesn't that mean it has increased by about 0.04 percent points that day? Tang Qian said in shock. Yes, I was also very surprised at that time, so I suggested that you buy that Bitcoin and give it a try. Tang Xueluo said. Since her two best friends trust Mingyu so much, she might as well trust Mingyu as well. Besides, since his father is obsessed with stock trading, it might be better to let him buy Bitcoin and test the waters. Virtual currency is too risky, I don't want to start. But my daughter said so I will wait and see for a few days. If the range is really stable, I will buy some Bitcoin to try it out. After careful consideration, Tang Qian spoke. Although he was somewhat obsessed with stock investment, he was not impulsive, otherwise he would have gone bankrupt long ago. Aha! Tang Xueluo nodded. She just told Leng Qianxue's matter and she didn't have any absolute guarantee in her heart. Then she went back to her room to take a shower and go to bed. After all, senior year is busy. Chapter 9. Are you going to pursue my Xue? October 13th, Monday. Mingyu rode his bike back to school. He stayed indoors for 2 whole days of the weekend and spent both days reviewing at home. As a time traveler, he is already past the age of playfulness. He now has only one goal, which is to get into a key university, invest money, and make a fortune. His goal is not big, just making a few hundred billion. Then you can travel around the world and have fun everywhere. With 13 years of future memory, he will surely be able to create an economic era of his own. By then, not to mention the bank interest, even the income from the zero-balance wallet will allow him to live a life without worries about food and drink. Not only that, rebirth has given him superpowers. Even if he doesn't have the advantage of rebirth after 2025, he still has the confidence to create a world of his own. Mingyu, good morning. Seeing Mingyu walk into the classroom, Leng Qianxue, who had already been sitting in the classroom reviewing, hurriedly greeted him with a smile. She became extremely excited when she thought about the profits that Bitcoin could bring. The source of all this is thanks to the investment proposed by Mingyu. Good morning. What happened before? Mingyu said a little embarrassedly. Leng Qianxue naturally knew what he was referring to, and immediately said with a smile, It's okay, I was just a little surprised. Fortunately, we made money. To be honest, she was really shocked that Mingyu took all her assets for investment at once. However, she didn't care much about the mere millions of assets. What she cared about was Mingyu's character. After all, Leng Qianxue trusted Mingyu very much. Apart from her two best friends, Mingyu was the first person who had touched her phone. Not only that, Mingyu also knew her mobile payment password, which even Tang Xueluo and the others didn't know. If Mingyu really deceived her, Leng Qianxue would definitely feel extremely upset. Fortunately, Mingyu did not do anything to disappoint her. In fact, I should thank you. If you hadn't decisively invested all my assets, how could I have such a considerable return? I just checked and the price has gone up again. It's incredible. When she thought of this, Leng Qianxue was filled with shock. Virtual currency is different from stocks. It changes all the time. She got up early in the morning to check the price and found that it had soared again. It directly rose from $135 to $137, and there is a subtle upward trend. Maybe it can rise to around $140 before the deadline of 12 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, it might be $142. Except for yesterday's stable trend, the rest of the time it has been rising. If calculated in this way, in just 4 days, the valuation of Bitcoin has increased by about 0.09%. Converted into RMB, it means she earned more than 100,000 yuan in 4 days. When she thought of this, she would wake up laughing in her dreams. Yes. According to my estimation, although there are some stable stages in these 3 months, most of them are showing an upward trend. I will notify you when the time is right, and then you can sell these bitcoins immediately. Remember, don't hesitate. Mingyu said solemnly. Once Bitcoin soars more than 10 times, if investors do not take action, the market makers will start to cheat investors. Therefore, he must stop in time, otherwise not only will he not make any money, but he may also be cheated out of it. Okay. I'll follow your instructions when the time comes. Leng Qianxue quickly agreed. She now firmly believed the reliable information Mingyu had told her earlier. Mingyu, this is not very kind of you. Suddenly, Leng Qianxue pouted and came to their seats with a somewhat unhappy look. Me? What did I do? Looking at the somewhat unhappy Leng Qianxue, Mingyu touched his head innocently, not knowing what had happened. Did I do something to offend Leng Qianxue? This shouldn't be the case. Leng Qianxue was Leng Qianxue's best friend, and Mingyu had dealt with her several times in his previous life. Unfortunately, due to his family background and humble heart, he eventually missed Leng Qianxue. If he had been braver, he might have been with Leng Qianxue a long time ago. Fortunately, God gave him a chance to start over. This time he will definitely not miss those people and things he missed. Yeah. We are all good classmates. You have helped Shuer make money, so why don't you take me with you? Are you interested in my Shuer? Leng Qianxue said with a pout. Of course, she wasn't really angry, she just wanted to know whether Mingyu was interested in Leng Qianxue. Otherwise, Mingyu has many ways to make money, so why not choose other people, but only choose Leng Qianxue? However, she didn't know that the most important reason why Mingyu chose Leng Qianxue was because of her millions of assets. The little money other students used to invest in Bitcoin was just a small investment. Naturally, she had no idea that Mingyu in front of her was a reborn person. Qianxue, what are you talking about? Leng Qianxue, who was standing next to her, blushed immediately upon hearing this. She immediately pulled Leng Qianxue aside. At the same time, she glanced at Mingyu shyly and couldn't help thinking in her heart. Could it be that Mingyu really has other thoughts about me? Otherwise, why would he choose to help me make money? For a moment, she felt a little conflicted. She admitted that she did have some feelings for Mingyu, but it was far from the level of being in a relationship. If Mingyu really confessed to me, how should I deal with it? If I refuse him, he will definitely be very sad, but if I agree, my parents will definitely not agree. For a moment, Leng Qianxue felt a little flustered. Qianxue, don't get me wrong. The reason I chose Leng Qianxue is because we have been deskmates for many years. I will definitely choose my deskmate. Leng Qianxue's behavior was a little unusual, and Mingyu naturally noticed it, so he started to explain. As for his love for Leng Qianxue, it was not the time to make it public yet, and Leng Qianxue was definitely not ready yet, but he believed that Leng Qianxue's feelings for him were more than just friendship. But it was at most the level of goodwill, and he still had to face another problem, that was Leng Qianxue's parents. In his previous life, he felt inferior because of his family background, which was why he did not confess to Leng Qianxue. This problem still existed after his rebirth. So he planned in 2 steps. The first step was to make Leng Qianxue fall in love with him, and the second step was to earn enough money to gain the recognition of Leng Qianxue's parents. Only by achieving these 2 steps can he and Leng Qianxue be truly together. I see. Then you don't mind taking me along, right? Although my family is not as well off as Shue's, I can still afford to pay a few $100,000. Leng Qianxue was also very eloquent and changed the subject in an instant. Chapter 10. I also want to invest. At the same time, she felt somewhat helpless as her tentative race was resolved by Mingyu. Leng Qianxue, who was standing next to him, felt a vague sense of loss when she heard this. It turned out that in Mingyu's eyes, he were just classmates. However, Leng Qianxue and the other person didn't know that Mingyu was very observant and had already noticed all the changes in their expressions. Immediately, Mingyu couldn't help but curl the corners of his mouth. If this continues, Leng Qianxue will fall in love with him sooner or later. The bait has been put down, the fish will take the bait sooner or later, and when the time is right, he will be able to win the beauty. As for whether there are other rivals in love? Sorry, no matter whether you are a dragon or a snake, I will definitely press you all to the floor and rub them. And according to her memories from her previous life, apart from being close to him, Leng Qianxue hardly ever interacted with other members of the opposite sex. No problem, just transfer the money to Qianxue and ask her to buy Bitcoin. Of course, we'll split the profits in half. Mingyu smiled and said, 100,000 yuan is not much, but it is also meat. With Leng Qianxue's investment, when he finally sells it, he can earn hundreds of thousands more. Free between friends. How is this possible? He even wants to split the profits with Leng Qianxue, let alone others. And if he helps Leng Qianxue operate Bitcoin for free, what should he do if he and Leng Qianxue split the profits in half? So let us just leave feelings as feelings and transactions as transactions. But if it has to be free, that's not impossible. I can consider throwing myself into someone's arms. Ahem. How could I even think of that? Mingyu immediately killed this terrible idea. He hadn't even gotten Leng Qianxue yet, so why was he still thinking about Leng Qianxue? No problem. Leng Qianxue said excitedly when she heard it. With Mingyu as my big partner, it should be no problem for me to earn a few thousand yuan a day. However, she didn't know that Mingyu had just had impulsive thoughts about her. Since Qianxue also wants to invest in Bitcoin, we should buy it as soon as possible. The sooner we buy, the sooner we can enjoy it. You should know that the current valuation of Bitcoin has reached $137. Leng Qianxue reminded quickly. No way, it's going up so fast. I have to buy it quickly. Leng Qianxue was stunned at first, then quickly took out her mobile phone to transfer money to Leng Qianxue. Mingyu looked at Leng Qianxue's cell phone and couldn't help showing an envious expression. It seemed that he was the only pauper around him, while most of his classmates had their own cell phones. Am I having a miserable life? However, compared to not having a mobile phone, Mingyu felt a dull pain in his heart when he thought about his New Year's money being confiscated by his mother every year. My mother confiscated his New Year's money in the name of keeping it for him. You have to know that before his rebirth, he didn't get back a penny of the New Year's money he had received for more than 10 years. Who told me to do this? I have to endure the pain myself. However, once he gets the income from Bitcoin, he will be able to achieve financial freedom. Later, under Mingyu's operation, Leng Qianxue spent nearly 80,000 renminbi to buy 83 bitcoins. The 80,000 renminbi not only included Leng Qianxue's pocket money, but also the money she borrowed. After doing all this, she was ready to lie down and collect the money. Neither Leng Qianxue nor Leng Qianxue could have predicted that within 3 months, the valuation of Bitcoin would skyrocket and explode like a bomb in the investment circle. The extremely high returns brought by then will definitely surprise them. However, as the three of them were discussing with each other, the classmates in the classroom cast surprised looks at them. In fact, most of the students' attention was on Mingyu and Leng Qianxue. After all, ever since their other joint incidents were exposed on Friday, the students had been speculating whether these two would have any signs. As a rare and beautiful campus beauty in a century, Leng Qianxue is the goddess in the hearts of countless boys on campus. Not only that, Leng Qianxue is aloof. Except for a few people of the opposite sex and her best friends, no one else can get even half a foot close to her, let alone the opposite sex. But Leng Qianxue treated Mingyu differently, and there was often a smile in her words. At first, they also thought that there was something going on between the two of them, but the two of them had always been friends and had not done anything inappropriate, so no one paid any attention to it. But a few days ago, Leng Qianxue actually rode away with Mingyu on a bicycle, and everyone couldn't help but become spectators again. After all, a boy appeared next to the most beautiful campus beauty, which was definitely explosive news. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, a week had passed. Today is Sunday. Leng Qianxue got up early and took out her mobile phone to check the changes in Bitcoin's valuation. In just 7 days, the valuation of Bitcoin has soared to $165. Looking at the still soaring prices, Leng Qianxue contentedly put away her phone, opened her textbook and started reviewing. Although she is very concerned about the changes in Bitcoin's valuation, she has not slacked off in her studies. In addition to reviewing her studies every day, the happiest thing for her is to see the valuation of Bitcoin slowly rise. The more it rises, the richer her assets will be. The initial purchase time was October 11th, and 9 days have passed since then. The valuation of Bitcoin has soared from the initial $130 to $165. However, it increased by $35 in just 9 days, an increase of 26%. Excluding half of the profit, she has earned $130,000 so far. When she thought of this, she felt extremely happy. I didn't expect that I could make so much money. Although most of it was due to Mingyu's efforts, if it were someone else, they definitely wouldn't have the courage to hand over millions of assets to Mingyu for investment. Definitely not. Even among relatives, there is no such courage. I am still better. Why didn't I realize that Mingyu is so reliable before? I wonder how much money I can make in 3 months. If I can double it, then I will build a small treasury for myself. A vault specifically for shopping. When she thought of this, Leng Qianxue was so excited that she couldn't sleep. Just like that, the night slowly fell, and Leng Qianxue moved her somewhat sore neck. At the end of the day, she had reviewed the basic lessons and filled in the gaps. She looked at the time. It was already 7 o'clock in the evening, time for dinner. She planned to give herself a small break in the evening, watch some TV series and enjoy life. Although learning is important, you also have to combine work and rest. After all, people are not machines. If you exhaust yourself, it would be a big loss. Chapter 11 fell. Shuer, it's time for dinner. As soon as Leng Qianxue left her seat, her mother Zhang Peixin's voice was heard. Coming right up. After Leng Qianxue simply washed her face, she walked towards the restaurant with a cheerful step. Leng Qianxue's home is spacious. It is a luxurious villa with an area of about 600 square meters, and its geographical location is in West Lake. It can be said that the value of this villa is at least more than 30 million. Obviously, Leng Qianxue's family is extremely wealthy, at least a billionaire with a net worth of more than 1 billion. After all, judging from market valuations and liquid assets, only wealthy people with a net worth of over 1 billion can afford such a luxurious house. Mom, I love you so much. You cook so many dishes that I like. Looking at the dazzling array of dishes on the table, Leng Qianxue's eyes lit up. Mom, is today a special day? Why is the dinner so sumptuous? While Leng Qianxue was talking, she reached out and grabbed a fried pig's trotter and started chewing it. This taste is amazing. Leng Qianxue couldn't help but narrow her eyes, revealing an expression of enjoyment. At this moment, she was like a greedy cat, and she would not let go even the cumin powder on her fingers. Usually Leng Qianxue was like a fairy high above, but at this moment, she was like a fairy who had fallen into the mortal world, eating cutely and enjoying all the worldly pleasures. If those men who liked her saw her, they would be shocked and couldn't help but feel moved. Look how greedy you are. If your father saw you, he would definitely lecture you. Zhang Peixin scolded with a smile as he watched his daughter eating. Then she continued to explain herself. Today, your father has successfully negotiated a big project, so we have to prepare a sumptuous dinner to celebrate for him. As she spoke, she couldn't help but touch Leng Qianxue's head lovingly. Is that so? It seems that our old man Leng has made a lot of money again. Leng Qianxue said with a smile while gnawing on a pig's trotter. Besides, I'm at home. Why should I show off my image? Leng Qianxue was sweet and lovely at this moment, completely different from her former coldness. In fact, she is not aloof at all, but those men who admire her are too annoying, so she can only put on an extremely cold appearance in front of outsiders. However, the effect is still good. At least during her 3 years in high school, because she looked so cool and aloof, few boys came to harass her. Girl, your dad spoiled you like that. You have no respect for your elders. Zhang Peixin couldn't help but laugh and scold when she heard Qianxue addressing her husband. But she also understood that such a life could only be possible if the relationship between father and daughter was very good. And when Leng Qianxue was a child, her family's friends all called her Xiaoleng. Calling him like this, Leng Qianxue naturally thought that her father should be called Laoleng, so this name has been maintained until now. Although she has grown up, the name has been retained. What are you saying about me? At this moment, Leng Qianxue's father Leng Qianxue came back. My daughter just called you cold again. Well, now that you're back, let's eat. Zhang Peixian said with a smile, and then took off Leng Qianxue's coat considerately. Dad, did you make a lot of money again this time? Leng Qianxue walked over and said with a smile. Har har har. Of course I have to. How can I give my precious daughter pocket money if I don't make money? Leng Qianxue laughed loudly. You just know how to talk nonsense. Hurry up and wash your hands and eat. Seeing this, Zhang Peixian slapped Leng Qianxue's hand in annoyance. Okay, I'll go wash my hands and eat. Leng Qianxue shrank his neck, squeezed a smile, and then hurried to wash his hands. Afterwards, the family of three enjoyed their dinner happily. Beep. Suddenly, the cell phone in Leng Qianxue's pocket vibrated violently. She picked it up and saw that it was Li Qinqin calling. She quickly answered the call. The next second, Li Qinqin's anxious voice came from the other end of the phone. Xue, something terrible has happened. The valuation of Bitcoin is falling from 165 to 159. Is this the rhythm of collapse? No way. Leng Qianxue exclaimed when she heard this. I saw that its valuation was still $165 this morning. How could it drop? And the amplitude is so large. It dropped from $165 to $159, which is a drop of $6. That's a lot of money lost. I don't know what's going on. I just took a look and his valuation has been falling. This is not a solution. Should we consider selling all of our bitcoins? We have already made some money anyway. Li Qinqin said anxiously. Although her money was used to purchase Bitcoin through Leng Qianxue's account, her attention has been focused on the changes in Bitcoin's valuation in recent times. After all, the 80,000 yuan included not only all her own pocket money, but also some borrowed from friends. Qinqin, don't panic yet, I'll ask Mingyu. Compared to the panicked Li Qinqin, Leng Qianxue was relatively calm. She first calmed Li Qinqin down, and then planned to contact Mingyu. After all, Mingyu is the real trader, and he will certainly pay attention to the changes in Bitcoin's valuation. However, he has not notified me to sell my Bitcoin until now, which means that the problem should not be serious. Yes, please contact Mingyu as soon as possible. Li Qinqin said quickly. Okay. Leng Qianxue nodded, hung up the phone, and sent a message to Mingyu on QQ. Angel Xue, are you there? Mingyu. Angel share, their valuation of Bitcoin has shown a downward trend. Should we choose to continue waiting or sell it immediately? After sending the message, Leng Qianxue stayed by the phone, patiently waiting for a reply. What happened to Xue? You just said that the price dropped from $165 to $159. What are you discussing? Leng Qianxue, who was standing by, heard the conversation between Leng Qianxue and Li Qinqin and asked in confusion. He felt that his daughter seemed to be doing something secretly. Ahem. Dad, we are actually investing. Looking at Leng Qianxue's stern eyes, Leng Qianxue had no choice but to tell the truth. After all, she didn't want to lie to her family. What? Xue, you are a high school student. Why are you playing with investment? Your most important goal now is to study hard and get into a key university. Don't waste your time on things like this, okay? Leng Qianxue was stunned at first, then quickly reminded her. At the same time, he thought to himself, could it be that Xue's pocket money is not enough? I usually give her some, more or less, and it's not a small amount when added up. Chapter 12. The goddess's heart is in trouble. Don't worry, Dad. I know what to do. I've never fallen behind in my studies. Mom can prove it for me. Leng Qianxue said quickly that she had worked very hard on her studies in the past. Even if she occasionally looked at the changes in Bitcoin's valuation, she spent most of her time studying and preparing for the exam. Okay, Lao Leng, don't worry, my daughter's studies have not been delayed. Zhang Peixian nodded and explained. That's good, but Dad is a little curious, what project are you investing in? Leng Qianxue asked after he breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, he also felt sad. She was obviously his little princess, so why didn't they invest in his company? It really made his father sad. It is obvious that Leng Qianxue is a complete daughter con. Let us keep this secret for now. I'll tell you when there is any result. Leng Qianxue still did not reveal the matter of Bitcoin. It's not that in Leng Qianxue's heart, Leng Qianming is not as important as Li Qianxue and the others, but she has always been under the protection of her family, so she wants to do something to prove that she can also grow independently and make money. So she wanted to wait 3 months and then sell the bitcoins, showing her parents the amount of her assets so that they would know that her daughter was not a greenhouse flower. When she thought of this, Leng Qianxue felt extremely happy. Okay, my Shuer, even this little thing has to be kept secret from Dad. Leng Qianxue felt a little depressed. Did the little princess whom she loved so much change her heart? Leng Qianxue used to tell them everything, but now she has to keep a secret from them just for an investment. It's too painful. Ding ding. Suddenly, Leng Qianxue's cell phone screen lit up. She quickly opened it and saw that it was a message from Mingyu. Astronomy and geography, don't worry, today is just an internal operation of the banker. After today, the valuation of Bitcoin will change drastically. Mingyu was not worried at all, he naturally knew when Bitcoin would fall and when it would rise. In my memory of my previous life, today's decline is paving the way for the crazy rise tomorrow and in the next 2 months. Angel Shuer, okay, I won't worry about that. Smiling expression, I haven't asked you yet, have you had dinner? Astronomy and geography, I have finished eating, have you not eaten yet? Angel Shuer, hee, I'm having dinner now. Dancing expression. Share Angel, pictures. Afterwards, Leng Qianxue took a photo of her sumptuous dinner for Mingyu. Astronomy and geography, rich snow is just different, this dinner is simply amazing, okay? Angel Share, rich snow. Angel Shuer, don't give me such an ugly nickname. I'm not too Hao Shui. Angry expression. Astronomy and geography, okay, my Angel Share. Why did Mingyu call me his Angel Shuer for no reason? Is he confessing his love for me? No way. Suddenly, Leng Qianxue's eyes became dull, and then her pretty face turned red, and her heart was in turmoil. Mingyu never thought that a piece of information he casually said would cause so many changes in Leng Qianxue's heart. Wife, something is wrong. Leng Qianxue looked at Leng Qianxue's expression, which was sometimes shy and sometimes nervous, and his eyes suddenly changed. He quickly leaned over to Zhang Peixin's ear and said, "It's a little bit wrong." Zhang Peixin's eyes also changed, and his expression was a little complicated. As a woman herself, she naturally understood what the change in her daughter's expression meant. "Wife, could it be that our Shuer is in love?" Leng Qianxue asked in a low voice. "It's probably not a romantic relationship yet, but I'm pretty sure that our Shuer has someone in her heart. Even if it's not to the extent of liking you, I definitely have a good impression of you," Zhang Peixin said with certainty. "Damn it, which bastard wants to trick my little princess away?" Upon hearing this, Leng Qianxue immediately gritted his teeth. Is it true that the little princess I have worked so hard to raise for 18 years is going to be taken away by a pig from nowhere? When he thought of this, Leng Qianxue gritted his teeth. His Shuer is so outstanding, which bastard deceived his daughter's heart? Okay, stop imagining things. Without real evidence, we are just guessing. Seeing her husband's expression change, Zhang Peixin slapped him on the head in annoyance. She naturally knew that her husband was a daughter-obsessed person. "Wife, you still hit me even after such a big thing happened. You must take the time to observe our daughter's condition at home recently. If there is any change, notify me immediately," Leng Qianxue solemnly instructed. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." Zhang Peixin nodded. At the beginning, the Leng family's company was run by the two of them together, but now Leng Qianxue is in the high school entrance examination stage, so Zhang Peixin put down the things at hand and went home to take care of her throughout the process. Although my daughter did not get into a key high school, her grades in school are still good. As long as she works a little harder, she will have no problem getting into an undergraduate university. Leng Qianxue put down her phone, unaware that the changes in her facial expressions during the chat with Mingyu were all seen by her parents. Although Zhang Peixin didn't guess everything correctly, Leng Qianxue did have a good impression of Mingyu. It was precisely because of Mingyu's words that Leng Qianxue had been in a state of panic. At this time, Li Qianxue on the other side was waiting impatiently and called again. Leng Qianxue finally came to her senses and quickly suppressed the restless emotions in her heart. She then told Li Qianxue about the situation in Mingyu and told her not to worry. After dinner, Leng Qianxue returned to her room, having long given up on watching TV series. She took a shower and lay on the bed, taking out her phone and staring at the chat history with Mingyu. She really wanted to contact Mingyu and ask him what his words meant, but she was afraid that she was overthinking it and that he might have just said it casually. This went on for a long time. Leng Qianxue spent the entire night reading the chat history and didn't know what time she fell asleep. This morning, Leng Qianxue came to school in a listless state. She seemed to have been struggling until 1 a.m. last night before going to bed. She had to get up at 6 a.m. to rush to school, so she must be in a bad mood. Qianxue, your eyes, did you sleep too late last night? Looking at Leng Qianxue's panda eyes, Mingyu couldn't help but ask in confusion. Humph. You also know that I go to bed late. It's all because of what you said. Do you know how easy it is to be misunderstood? It's all your fault, otherwise I wouldn't be awake all night. Of course, these are all Leng Qianxue's real thoughts, and she would naturally not say this on the surface. After all, she stared at her phone all night last night and didn't dare to ask, not to mention that face-to-face was impossible now. Chapter 13. I want to show off by taking the top score in the college entrance examination. Just stayed up late to review. Leng Qianxue evaded the question while yawning continuously. It's all Mingyu's fault. If he had flirted with me, how could I have stayed up so late? Then take a nap. I'll call you before class. Looking at Leng Qianxue's panda-like eyes, Mingyu couldn't help but express his concern. Okay, thank you for your hard work. Afterwards, Leng Qianxue couldn't help herself and fell asleep on the table. She had to catch up before class, otherwise she wouldn't have the energy to listen to the class. Mingyu shook his head helplessly, without thinking too much about it, and continued to review. It has been 10 days since his rebirth. He has been reviewing mathematics knowledge recently. Fortunately, his hard work has paid off. He was familiar with all the math knowledge in high school, and he also had a good understanding of some of the problem-solving techniques in chemistry and physics. All this was thanks to his powerful photographic memory. With just one glance, the knowledge would be deeply engraved in his mind like a brand. Not only that, coupled with his extraordinary thinking ability, mathematics, which seems to be extremely difficult for outsiders, is now easily mastered in his hands. He also specially did several sets of college entrance examination test papers from previous years. On average, he only spent 1 hour to complete one set of test papers. After grading, his scores were mostly between 146 and 148 points, and 1 or 2 sets even achieved full marks. It can be said that high school mathematics knowledge is no longer difficult for him, so his next goal is to focus on comprehensive science, while the remaining 2 major subjects of English and Chinese will be postponed. Mingyu, why did Xue fall asleep? Just as Mingyu opened his textbook to review, Li Qianxin also came to the classroom. Her eyes immediately fell on Leng Qianxue, who was sleeping soundly. Qianxue said she reviewed too late last night, so she didn't sleep well. Mingyu explained. Review. Li Qianxin was stunned at first, and then thought to herself. Xue definitely wouldn't stay up late to review. Could it be that she saw that the valuation of Bitcoin was rising again? When she thought of this, she couldn't help but smile knowingly. Just yesterday, when she was anxious, around 11 o'clock in the evening, the valuation of Bitcoin was rising again. Not only that, the current valuation of Bitcoin has reached $167. However, she didn't know that the reason why Leng Qianxue stayed up late was just because of what Mingyu said to him, my angel Xue. 10 minutes later, the class bell rang and Mingyu woke up Leng Qianxue. At this time, their head teacher, English teacher Chen Jiajie, came up and spoke loudly. Classmates, time flies. 2 months have passed since the end of senior year. You will soon face the challenge of midterm exams. The leaders have approved the date, which is the 27th of this month. This exam is a knowledge test for the students. I hope the students will be well prepared to take their first important exam in their senior year. The teacher will give you corresponding guidance based on your different situations. The midterm exams for senior high school students are mostly held around November, and the purpose of the school test is to get a feel for the student's learning situation. After all, the school has already started reviewing the 3rd year of high school in the 2nd semester of the 2nd year of high school. Add in the summer vacation and the 2 months after school, and it's already time for a round of review. The next stage is to carry out various exercises and provide classified guidance. When we return to school in the spring next year, we will take various mock exams within the province and city. After the mock exams, the class will conduct a summary review. After completing about 5 mock exams, you will face the college entrance examination. Of course, before the college entrance examination, the school will give students more than 10 days to relax and adjust their state. However, although they are said to be relaxing, they are basically still in school. Except for a small number of students who have special circumstances and special treatment, they only have about 3 days to adjust their state at home. So soon. It seems that I only have 6 days left. Hearing this, Mingyu couldn't help but frown. It seems that I have to hurry up and review in the next few days. After all, his energy had been mostly focused on mathematics before, and he didn't pay much attention to other subjects. Therefore, he planned to achieve a goal within 6 days, which was to get a comprehensive science score of at least 240 points. With the guarantee of comprehensive science and mathematics, it should not be a big deal even if he does not do well in other subjects. Hey! Why do I feel like I'm becoming more and more like a nerd? Old Wang has a small goal of 100 million, so I have to set one too. It shouldn't be a problem to get the top score in the college entrance examination in Hangzhou. As a reborn person, he understood very well that the richness of knowledge was extremely important. Especially the ranking results of the college entrance examination are like a stepping stone, and the 4 words, top scorer in the college entrance examination, also sound very pretentious. Mingyu, why do I feel like you've been working so hard lately? Looking at Mingyu, who was writing furiously, Leng Qianxue couldn't help but say curiously. That's a must. We have wasted time before, so we have to make up for it now. Maybe if I work hard, it won't be a problem for me to get into a 985 or 211 key university. Mingyu said with a smile. In fact, there was one more thing he didn't say, which was, I work so hard just to go to the same university with you. After all, according to her memories from her previous life, Leng Qianxue was admitted to Zhejiang University. Therefore, Mingyu naturally had to seize the time and study hard to get admitted to Zhejiang University. Why didn't I realize that you had such great ambitions before? Leng Qianxue heard this, her eyes full of surprise. My aspirations are not high, I just want to get into an undergraduate university. Having said that, when she thought about Mingyu's goal of going to those key universities, and her own grades, which showed that she could only go to an undergraduate university at best, she couldn't help feeling a little disappointed. Don't be so discouraged, maybe you can be admitted to Zhejiang University in the end. Mingyu said meaningfully. Indeed, no one would have thought that Leng Qianxue, whose usual grades were just around the undergraduate score line, would perform exceptionally well in the college entrance examination and directly win admission to Zhejiang University. When she saw the college entrance examination results, even Leng Qianxue herself was surprised. Don't make fun of me. You want to get into Zhejiang University? It's impossible. Leng Qianxue shook her head dejectedly. She knew her situation. Not to mention a key university, she had no hope of even getting into a better 2A. She would be thankful if she could get a better 2B. Chapter 14, Crazy Bitcoin. The future is uncertain, you and I are both dark horses, maybe it can really come true then. Mingyu said meaningfully. According to her memories from her previous life, Leng Qianxue seemed to have been stimulated by something during the winter vacation this year. She then studied frantically in the second semester, and finally performed exceptionally well in the college entrance examination, earning her an admission to Zhejiang University. I hope so. Leng Qianxue appeared calm on the surface, but her heart was in turmoil. What does Mingyu mean by this? Does he want me to go to Zhejiang University with him? Is this also his goal for the college entrance examination? Ever since Mingyu said, my Princess Shuer, whenever Leng Qianxue came into contact with topics related to Mingyu or people, she would start to have wild thoughts. If Mingyu knew that his casual words could make Leng Qianxue's heart upset, he would definitely be extremely happy. This means that Leng Qianxue's favorability towards him has changed. As time goes by, Leng Qianxue will fall in love with him one day. For a period of time afterwards, Leng Qianxue would scream and fuss in front of Mingyu every day. Mingyu, the valuation of Bitcoin has risen again, it has soared to $172. Okay. Mingyu, he's moving again. Look, it's already $193. You need to remain calm, okay? Damn it. He actually descended today. Take a look. Check it out. Is there something wrong? Don't worry, it's just going to drop a little today, it will rise again in time. Oh my god, Mingyu, what you said is actually true. It has now skyrocketed to $209. Calm down, this is just a prelude. Faced with Leng Qianxue's repetitive greetings, Mingyu did not show the slightest bit of annoyance. In his opinion, Leng Qianxue's voice was so pleasant and moving. Perhaps that was the reason why he could not feel any dislike towards the person he loved. Coupled with Leng Qianxue's extremely high appearance, no one would have the heart to dislike her, and would only admire her silently. Soon, it was October 27th. Mingyu's performance in the midterm exam was okay. He did quite well in math, scoring 149 points. His performance in comprehensive science was also ideal, with 249 points, but his performance in the remaining two subjects was a bit disappointing. I got 90 points in English, but my Chinese score was extremely bad, only 80 points. Although his academic performance was seriously unbalanced, Mingyu's total score added up to 568 points, so there was no problem in getting into an undergraduate university. Their head teacher Leng Qianxue was holding the report card of the student and was a little amused and thought to himself that this student's imbalance in performance was too serious. At the same time, he was also very surprised. Although he did poorly in Chinese and English, Mingyu's total score still added up to 568 points. If he could improve the scores of these two subjects a little, he would have no problem getting into a key university. It might be difficult to improve Mingyu's math scores, but it is much easier to improve his English and Chinese scores to just the passing line. As long as Mingyu's English and Chinese scores are both improved to 110 points, it will be equivalent to a direct increase of more than 50 points in the total score. In this way, Mingyu's total score can reach about 620 points, and there will be no problem in getting into a key university. If he can perform exceptionally well in the college entrance examination, even Zhejiang University is possible. Thinking of this, Leng Qianxue was filled with excitement, and immediately called Mingyu to his office, and specifically told him that if he encountered any problems in his studies, he must ask him for help in time. Their head teacher, Leng Qianxue, is a Chinese teacher, so naturally he has absolute confidence in Chinese. Immediately, Mingyu patted his chest and promised that he would not let him down in the next exam. Time passed slowly and soon it was November. The valuation of Bitcoin in the market has finally reached $205. Not only that, the valuation of Bitcoin is rising faster and faster every day. Mingyu looked at the constantly changing Bitcoin valuation on his mobile phone and his eyes changed. At this rate, it may take less than a month to break through the $1,000 mark. But this is different from the memory of breaking through $1,000 in 3 months in his previous life. Could it be that his rebirth has caused a subtle change in the course of history? But Mingyu didn't care. Although the process was different, as long as the result was good, it was enough. As of November 16, the market valuation of Bitcoin reached $409. And today is the weekend. Leng Qianxue's 3 best friends went out shopping again. Qianxue, have you seen that Bitcoin? It has been rising so wildly recently, it's unbelievable. In the coffee shop in Leng Qianxue, Tang Xuero looked at Leng Qianxue with shock on her face. However, in just over 30 days, the valuation of Bitcoin soared from $130 to $409, more than 3 times. If Leng Qianxue's investment of 1.1 million renminbi was sold, it would be worth more than 3.3 million renminbi. That's more than 3.3 million renminbi. It would probably take Tang Xuero's family several years of income to reach this number. But Leng Qianxue only spent more than 30 days to earn such a terrifying amount of wealth, which made her full of envy. But fortunately, she told her father in time, and her father waited and watched for a while. When the valuation of Bitcoin was about $220, Tang Qian took action. Because Leng Qianxue invested more than 1.1 million, Tang Xuero kept persuading Tang Qian to increase his investment. After much persuasion, Tang Qian finally decided to invest 600,000. 600,000 renminbi is considered a relatively large amount in Tang Qian's investment career. He usually invests only around 100,000 renminbi, and 600,000 renminbi is more than a year's income for his family. Don't worry, I care about it more than you do. Leng Qianxue became extremely excited when talking about Bitcoin. The valuation of Bitcoin has soared. From the time she invested to now, in more than 30 days, she and Mingyu have earned a total of more than 2.2 million. Even if they split it equally, she would still have an income of over $1 million. Although there are transaction fees for selling Bitcoin, they don't care about such a small fee at all. Xueru, have you bought any Bitcoin? I have already invested all my private savings, which I have saved for many years, and some money borrowed from friends, into this project. All in all, I've made over 100,000. Li Qianxue had a puzzled look in her eyes. When she followed Leng Qianxue, she also informed Tang Xueruo. We are all close friends, so naturally we should make money together. My family is not as well off as yours, so I definitely don't have much private money. Although I didn't buy it, I persuaded my dad and he also bought 600,000. But my dad didn't quite believe it at first, so they waited and watched for a while and missed the best opportunity. He only bought it when the Bitcoin valuation was over 220. Tang Xueruo said with some regret. Chapter 15. I might be tempted. That's pretty good. You are just not satisfied. Later on, the price of Bitcoin soared faster and faster. Just think about it, it only took half a month for it to go from more than $220 to $409. Leng Qianxue said unhappily. He. What my baby said makes sense. In less than 15 days, my dad has made at least 400,000 yuan. He has been squinting his eyes these days. He is so happy. When she thought of this, Tang Xueruo's eyes narrowed with laughter. Her father promised that if he could make money this time, he would give her 1/5 of it as information fee. In less than 15 days, her father has made about 500,000 yuan, so 1/5 of it is 100,000 yuan. As long as she sells the bitcoins, her wallet will be full immediately. Qianxue, did Mingyu say when to sell the bitcoin? After all, I don't think the price of bitcoin will continue to rise. Tang Xueruo asked. After all, just a few days ago, Bitcoin's valuation showed a downward trend. Her father once said that neither stocks nor virtual currencies will stay on the rise forever, and after reaching the peak they will fall madly. Tang Xueruo's intuition told her that as long as the valuation of Bitcoin reached its peak, what would be waiting for them would be a crazy decline. They must sell their Bitcoins before then, otherwise they will be subject to the dealer's counterattack. I've considered what you said, and I've also contacted Mingyu, but he's not in a hurry at all. He said this is not the limit of Bitcoin's valuation, and when it's time to sell it, he'll tell me in advance. After all, his dividends are with me. Afterwards, Leng Qianxue told her Mingyu's original words. Is that so? Then when Mingyu contacts you to sell it, you must tell me the first time. Tang Xueruo said hurriedly. At the same time, she couldn't help but feel grateful to Mingyu. After all, it was Mingyu who provided the information, which gave their family the opportunity to make money. If they made a lot of money, shouldn't she give some to him? Her two best friends both had profit-sharing relationships with Mingyu. If they didn't give it to her, wouldn't that be a bit unfair? It seemed a bit bad to get other people's intelligence for free. Although Mingyu doesn't know me, what if one day he finds out that I got his intelligence through Leng Qianxue? Will it affect his relationship with Leng Qianxue? Tang Xueruo was not stupid. Through their contacts during this period, Leng Qianxue mentioned Mingyu in almost every sentence. She naturally knew that her best friend might have feelings for Mingyu. It would be bad if the relationship between Leng Qianxue and Mingyu was affected because of me. Don't worry, my baby, I will inform you immediately when I have any news. Leng Qianxue said with a smile. She had no selfish motives towards her own sisters. Thank you so much, my dear. By the way, dear, I don't know what your relationship with Mingyu is now. Tang Xueruo asked. Xueru, you are talking nonsense again. We are just classmates and friends. Don't let your imagination run wild, okay? When it came to the topic of relationship, Leng Qianxue couldn't help but feel a little flustered, and her pretty face actually turned red. She was worried that her two best friends might misunderstand her, so she deliberately said it again. Baby, do you think I will believe what you say? Not only me, but even Qianxin won't believe it. Tang Xueruo curled the corners of her mouth and revealed a meaningful smile. That's right. I don't believe that you two have an ordinary relationship. After all, not a single word from that person's mouth has left the word Mingyu. Li Qianxin said with a sly smile. Qianxue, tell the truth quickly. What's the situation now? Tang Xueruo asked curiously. She was also a little surprised. Could it be that her cold and aloof best friend was really moved? I don't know how to say it. I still don't understand what Mingyu means to me. Leng Qianxue hesitated for a moment, and then said hesitantly. Because of investment matters, the two met frequently over the past month. At first, their conversation was about Bitcoin, and later they talked about family matters and even shared their respective children's interests. It can be said that their relationship has long surpassed that of ordinary friends. Leng Qianxue vaguely felt that Mingyu had feelings for her, but he didn't say it clearly, so she wasn't absolutely sure. Baby, as the school's most beautiful girl and the goddess in the hearts of countless male classmates, why don't you have any confidence? He must like you. Hearing Leng Qianxue's confident answer, Tang Shuro was shocked. In the past, this aloof bestie of mine always ignored the opposite sex. What kind of magic potion did this guy named Mingyu give her? That's why Leng Qianxue behaved so unconfidently. Isn't this incredible? Baby, put aside that guy's thoughts for now and think about how you feel about him. Tang Shuero asked seriously. I. Leng Qianxue said shyly, hesitatingly, I might have fallen in love with him. After more than 30 days of living together day and night, Leng Qianxue's impression of Mingyu has already changed. The two chat about family matters and share their own interests. Her life is filled with Mingyu's shadow. Mingyu is also very handsome and speaks very humorously. As time went by, she found herself attracted to Mingyu. Baby, you already know what you are thinking, why don't you take action? With my baby's super high looks, it wouldn't be a matter of minutes to conquer Mingyu. Tang Shueruo said with some confusion. How can that be? I'm a girl, how can I be so proactive? This kind of thing must be done by boys. Leng Qianxue said shyly. After all, every girl enjoys being pursued. Baby, we need to be more open-minded. What era is it now? Why do girls still need to be reserved? Let's be direct and simple. You can pick a good time to call him out, then watch him and then you can be together, right? Tang Shuro said very experiencedly. You speak so sophisticatedly. If we hadn't grown up together, I would have thought you were a scumbag from some series. Leng Qianxue said unhappily. It turns out that sisters are there to be cheated. You little brat, you don't even have a lover, yet you still want to trick me into confessing to you. You must want to laugh at me, you're just dreaming. What's the matter? We are best friends, and she is obviously doing this for your own good, and you are still blaming me. Tang Shueruo said innocently. Chapter 16. If you like it, take action. That's right. I also agree with what Shueru said. You have to be brave towards the person you like. Think about it, if you are still hesitant and someone else takes a look at Mingyu, what will happen? If your sweetheart is snatched away by someone else, you will be the one crying. Li Qinqin instigated. Leng Qianxue didn't know what to do when she heard this. Don't panic, baby. I'll analyze it for you, and then you can make a choice. First, Mingyu is also very handsome. If he were in a crowd, he would definitely be the most handsome guy on campus. And you should have heard that many female classmates secretly gave him love letters. Secondly, you all invested in virtual currency together. Combined with Mingyu's rational analysis, it can be seen that he is a man with great vision. If he is given enough time, he will definitely be able to create considerable wealth. Anyway, let's just say that Mini is a combination of handsomeness and wealth. He is simply the perfect boyfriend, okay? If you don't make a move now, other girls won't give you a chance. And I think Mingyu should be interested in you now. If he loses interest in you one day, you'll be the one crying. Li Qinqin said bluntly. Of course she knew about Leng Qianxue's little thoughts, so she didn't want her best friend to lose her lover because of this. Yes, what Qinqin said makes sense. Such a perfect boyfriend is hard to come by in this era. Besides, Mingyu is so handsome, other people won't give you a chance and let you wait. There are many girls like this around me. In order to pursue the person they like, they will use any means. Tang Shuero said quickly. That seems to make sense. Leng Qianxue suddenly became nervous when she heard that. Tang Shueruo and the others were right. Mingyu was very outstanding in himself, and with his super high looks, he would naturally attract the attention of many opposite sexes. Through the understanding during this period, Leng Qianxue knows that Mingyu has far more advantages than these. He is calm and collected in his dealings with others, humorous and witty in dealing with others, and knows interesting things from all sides. When she thought of this, Leng Qianxue became more nervous. Such an outstanding person, unless it was Lala, would fall under Mingyu's charm. And she is an obvious example. After just 1 month of getting along, she fell in love with Mingyu. Baby, you can't hesitate. Hurry up and do it while he is still single, otherwise it will be too late. Tang Xuero said hurriedly. That's right, let's get started. Li Qianxue also echoed. But if we two really get together, my parents will definitely object. Besides, I don't have any plans to fall in love before college. Leng Qianxue was still a little hesitant. However, Tang Xuero and the other person's words did make her feel worried. But in comparison, if she really was with Mingyu, her parents would definitely know about it. If her parents objected, that would be troublesome. Although parents are extremely cheerful in all aspects, no one knows what their parents think when it comes to love. The most crucial thing is that she is now in her third year of high school, which is the most important period of her life. Her parents may be worried that falling in love will affect her grades and are very likely to oppose it. Qianxue, I know what you are hesitating about. Your parents love you so much, and you are the little princess of the family. How could they be willing to oppose you when they love you so much? There was a gleam of wisdom in Li Qianxue's eyes. If other girls fell in love in high school, they would be opposed by their parents. But Leng Qianxue's parents would never do that, and Li Qianxue could guarantee that. It seems to make sense. Leng Qianxue thought about it and it made sense. If Lao Leng objects to my relationship, I will just leave him alone for a few days, and then he will agree obediently, right? That's it. Baby, have you decided when to confess your feelings to Mingyu? Li Qianxue asked with a sly smile on her face. Her eager expression couldn't be hidden at all. Aha! Keep it a secret. She was extremely clear about the gossipy face of her best friend. Therefore, Leng Qianxue secretly decided that she would not let them know anything when she confessed her feelings. Otherwise, if she was rejected and her two best friends saw it, wouldn't it be so embarrassing? Who am I, Leng Qianxue? She is the most beautiful girl in Hangzhou No. 5 middle school. Even if it is embarrassing, she must not let others know. Baby, you are being too narrow-minded. Li Qianxue's face suddenly relaxed, but she had a devilish idea in her mind. We are in the same school. As long as I pay attention, I won't know when you will confess your feelings. Call. I have finally mastered most of the chemistry and physics knowledge from high school. Mingyu looked at the test papers on the table and a smile appeared on his face. After more than 10 days of hard review and practicing several sets of real test questions, his comprehensive science score has now basically stabilized at 290 points. His next plan is to improve his English and Chinese. Compared with comprehensive science, these two subjects are much simpler. Especially for the English subject, which basically relies on memorization and dictation. As long as you master those few thousand words, wouldn't it be easy to get high scores in English? Of course, grammar is also of utmost importance. After all, the score of the composition is closely related to grammar. However, Mingyu is very confident that as long as time permits, he can definitely get more than 140 points in English, and maybe even get a full score in the end. I didn't expect that more than 30 days have passed since I was reborn. Although the process of Bitcoin's valuation changes has accelerated, it has undoubtedly shortened the time it takes for me to obtain my first startup capital. Now I should consider which project to invest in. Mingyu narrowed his eyes and fell into thought. According to my memory, there will be several prominent stocks emerging in the next 2 years. Like Quanfeng Technology, Wani Group, etc. In short, the daily limit of these projects is very high, almost exceeding a dozen points in a row. At that time, as long as he seizes the opportunity to invest, he will definitely make a fortune. However, there is no need to rush. It is only November 2012 now, and it is still a long way for those monster stocks to appear. When he thought of this, Mingyu was filled with helplessness. The most difficult thing is the word wait, but his focus recently is basically on Bitcoin. As long as the price reaches the peak of his previous life memory, he will sell it immediately. Don't think about anything else for now. As long as I get the first batch of startup capital, those eye-catching things will be mine sooner or later. Then, Mingyu looked at the clock and it was almost 12 o'clock in the evening. Tomorrow, the 17th, is Monday. He decided to have a good sleep and not rush to think about projects. After all, the time of Bitcoin has been shortened, and maybe other projects will also change. Chapter 17 Waiting to be Pursued. Vertical Day. Mingyu got up very early. As soon as he got up, he turned on his computer to check the changes in Bitcoin's valuation. Looking at the numbers that kept jumping on it, he couldn't help but smile. It won't be long before he can get his first startup capital. After quickly eating the loving breakfast prepared by his mother, Mingyu packed up his textbooks and rode his bicycle to school. Although he has returned to his senior year of high school, Mingyu has been basically busy with his studies. However, the third year of high school represents the memories of youth. The youthful moments that countless people linger on. Mingyu. Just as Mingyu arrived at the school gate, suddenly, a clear and pleasant voice sounded behind him. Mingyu looked in the direction of the voice and saw it was Leng Qianxue. She was seen with a smile on her pretty face, slowly pushing a blue folding bicycle. It was an obvious international brand, and Mingyu knew at a glance that the price of this bicycle was no less than 2,000 yuan. The local tyrant snow is different. It's so luxurious. Good morning, Qianxue. Mingyu smiled back. Good morning. Afterwards, Leng Qianxue naturally pushed the cart to Mingyu to watch. Then the two of them stepped into the school gate together. The appearance of the handsome man and beautiful woman naturally attracted the attention of many classmates. Fuck, there's a boy next to the school beauty. Who is this guy? So awesome. What are you talking about him? He's the desk mate of the school beauty. He's pretty good looking, right? Some brainless girls often list him as the school hunk. Brother, why do I feel like you're jealous? He's really handsome, no wonder even the cool school belle has come down to earth. Looking at Mingyu and Leng Qianxue, who looked like a golden boy and a jade girl, many boys who admired Leng Qianxue were filled with jealousy. After a while, the two of them pushed the bicycle together and parked it in the parking lot. Mingyu. Leng Qianxue first looked around nervously, and found that there were not many people around, and Li Qinqin, the spectator, did not follow. Therefore, her mind was full of what she and Tang Xuero discussed yesterday. Immediately, she called Mingyu in a nervous tone. Is there anything wrong? Mingyu asked puzzledly. Looking at Mingyu's handsome and charming face, who was less than a meter away from her, Leng Qianxue's heart couldn't help but pound. She then gritted her teeth and took a deep breath. Xueru and the others didn't say much. It's a different era now. If you like someone, you should pursue them bravely. Otherwise, if Mingyu fell in love with someone else, where could she go to cry? Ahem, have you had breakfast? After hesitating for a long time, Leng Qianxue still couldn't take that step bravely and asked a very stupid question. I've eaten it a long time ago. Haven't you eaten it yet? The temptation in Mingyu's eyes became stronger. He clearly felt that this was not what Leng Qianxue was going to say. Although he guessed that Leng Qianxue must have other things to do, he never thought that Leng Qianxue almost confessed to him just now. Of course I have eaten it. I'm just worried that you have forgotten to eat breakfast because of your studies recently. You are my source of income, so you can't let your body suffer. Leng Qianxue explained hurriedly. At the same time, she secretly gave herself a thumbs up in her heart. I am so smart. I can turn this danger into safety. However, the next second, her pretty face couldn't help but relax a little. How smart? He came here to confess his love, why did he ask if he had breakfast? It would be fine if he didn't confess his love, but I am still smug about it. Leng Qianxue, no wonder you have been single since birth. Qianxue, are you really okay? Why is your face so red? Are you having a fever? Mingyu looked at Leng Qianxue's pretty face, which suddenly turned red, and couldn't help but feel a little worried. He didn't even care about the relationship between them. He directly reached out and touched Leng Qianxue's forehead to see if she really had a fever. As soon as Mingyu's broad palm touched Leng Qianxue's forehead, her heart started beating wildly and her face turned as red as an apple. Well, it's okay. It may be because of the hot weather. If there's nothing else, I'll go to the classroom first. As soon as she finished speaking, Leng Qianxue ran away without waiting for Mingyu to speak. Oh, what happened? Mingyu looked stunned and confused, and he hadn't even retracted his outstretched hand. Why is this woman so abnormal? I need to analyze her carefully. Mingyu stroked his chin and fell into thought. At this time, the super thinking ability once again demonstrated its great role. After a little thought, Mingyu's eyes lit up, and he looked at the direction where Leng Qianxue left in embarrassment, and said uncertainly. Could it be that the girl was planning to confess to me just now? And then she backed off because she was nervous. When he thought of this, he couldn't help but be stunned. Although it is a bit outrageous, calculations show that the probability is over 95%. With his keen observation, he had already discovered that after more than 30 days of getting along, Leng Qianxue's attitude towards him had changed, and it was very likely that she had fallen in love with him. Mingyu himself was thinking, should he find a timetable? However, what he didn't expect was that Leng Qianxue actually took the initiative to confess to him. Although she had no real intention of speaking, he could already feel it. When he thought of this, Mingyu couldn't help but reveal a happy smile on his face. I didn't expect that the school beauty, the goddess in the eyes of countless boys, actually wanted to pursue me. This feeling is simply too great. Leng Qianxue, I really want to see how long you can hold on, and I'm looking forward to your confession. After learning of Leng Qianxue's intention, Mingyu gave up his plan to take the initiative. He wanted to turn the passive situation into active one and wait for Leng Qianxue to confess to him in person. On the other side, Leng Qianxue walked away with her pretty face flushed, her mind already in a mess. Oh my god, what did Mingyu do just now? He actually touched my forehead. How could he be so intimate? I am so shy. I have never had such intimate contact with the opposite sex in my life. But his hands are so broad, and so warm. R. Leng Qianxue's steps were in a panic and she accidentally bumped into someone. Sorry, classmate. Leng Qianxue felt embarrassed and her heart was full of self-blame. How could she be so abnormal? Qianxue, what's wrong with you? Don't you even look ahead when you walk? Li Qianqin rubbed her chest with a painful expression, she almost got knocked into Princess Taiping. That's right, it was Li Qianqin who was bumped into by Leng Qianxue. Why is it you? Qianqin. Leng Qianxue was a little surprised to find that the person coming was Li Qianqin. But she was also somewhat relieved in her heart that it was Li Qianqin. If she had bumped into someone else, it would have been really embarrassing, especially if it was a boy, which would have been even worse. Qianxue, you haven't told me what happened to you yet. Why is your face as red as an apple? Chapter 18. Sorry, I have a crush on someone. At this time, Li Qianqin looked at Leng Qianxue with surprise. Not only that, why do you look so nervous? I just saw Mingyu. Leng Qianxue said with a flushed face, a little embarrassed. You? Li Qianqin's pupils shrank, and when she was about to speak, Leng Qianxue pulled her over and started muttering softly. Keep your voice down, I'll tell you what happened. Afterwards, Leng Qianxue told Li Qianqin everything that happened in the morning. Baby, this is your fault. This is a godsend opportunity, and you didn't seize it. The most important thing is that you already have a plan. How can you back down at the last minute? Baby, you've brought shame upon our sisters. Li Qianqin said with a look of disappointment on her face. You say that's easy. If you meet someone you like, I think you're the same as me. You only know how to talk about me. Leng Qianxue pouted and said a little aggrievedly. Baby, you underestimate me. If I had a crush on someone, I tell you, I would just push him against the wall and confess my love to him, okay? Li Qianqin said generously. Anyway, no one loves her in her heart, so she can say whatever she wants, just talk big. Li Qianqin, do you think I will believe what you say? Looking at the arrogant Li Qianqin, Leng Qianxue expressed disbelief. You little bastard. We've been best friends for so many years, don't you think I don't understand you? Okay, stop arguing with me. Look behind, Mingyu is coming. This is your future boyfriend. Li Qianqin suddenly said with a sly smile, pointing behind her. What future boyfriend? Don't talk nonsense. What if he hears and misunderstands? Leng Qianxue nervously covered Li Qianqin's mouth, then glanced back shyly and panically. Sure enough, Mingyu was walking towards them with a calm look. As the distance got closer, Leng Qianxue's face became redder. Just as she was grabbing her clothes with her little hands, at a loss, suddenly a pretty girl ran out from the corner and walked towards Mingyu with a shy face. Then, the girl handed Mingyu a light blue love letter with affection. Oh my god, baby, look, this girl wants to steal your boyfriend, can you resist? Li Qianqin stared at the scene in front of her in amazement and couldn't help but burst into cursing. Leng Qianxue next to her also had a change of expression. Ming classmate, I have always had a good impression of you, I hope you can accept it. The girl shyly handed Mingyu the love letter she had prepared for a week, lowering her head and being too shy to speak. Forehead. Mingyu's expression froze. He never thought that a girl would write a love letter to him. Alas, I really miss my previous life, when I received countless love letters from girls during high school. Just as Mingyu was immersed in his memories, he suddenly glanced up and found two people approaching him stealthily. Yes, these two people are Leng Qianxue and Leng Qianxue. Other girls had written love letters to Mingyu in person, so how could Leng Qianxue resist? She came over to see how this girl was trying to steal her away. Seeing this, Mingyu's mouth curled slightly. Sorry classmate, I already have someone in my heart. I cannot accept this love letter from you. I believe you will find someone you like in the future. After saying that, Mingyu turned and left. Oh my god, did I hear it right? Mingyu has someone in his heart. No way, one of the few handsome boys in the school actually has a crush on someone. Could it be Leng Qianxue? The girl stood there with a dull look in her eyes. She still maintained the same posture of bending over and writing the love letter, with an extremely embarrassed look in her eyes. She had imagined the worst possible outcome, which was being rejected at most, but she didn't expect to be rejected in person, and to be told by the other party that he already had someone he liked. Is this the end of my first love? Baby, you heard it too, Mingyu admitted that he has someone in his heart. In my opinion, the person you mentioned is most likely you. Watching Mingyu leaving, Leng Qianxue looked at Leng Qianxue with a sly smile, an expression that everyone understood. Don't talk nonsense. Leng Qianxue's pretty face flushed and she looked shy. Baby, who are you? You are the school beauty, don't be so unconfident, okay? Besides, you are desk mates, so he will definitely be yours. You two have been together the longest, and he has admitted that he has someone he likes, and it can only be you, baby. Leng Qianxue looked at Leng Qianxue, who looked inconfident and shook her head helplessly. How can my best friend be so dumb when it comes to love? Sister, you are a real white, rich and beautiful woman, who wouldn't like you. This seems to be what you said. After listening to Leng Qianxue's analysis, Leng Qianxue's eyes lit up. But if he likes me, why doesn't he confess to me? When she thought of this, Leng Qianxue felt a little uncertain again. Well, this is also a problem. Suddenly, Leng Qianxue didn't know how to answer. She was also very curious why Mingyu didn't confess to Leng Qianxue. How about I go and test him? Leng Qianxue struggled for a while, but decided to see what Mingyu was thinking, and then hurried towards the classroom. In the classroom, Leng Qianxue glanced at Mingyu secretly with an unnatural expression, while Leng Qianxue, who was not far away, looked at her with a smirk, as if to say, why don't you do it yet? Leng Qianxue hesitated for a moment and said to Mingyu, pretending to be indifferent. Mingyu, what happened just now? Could it be that you? What's going on? Mingyu looked at Leng Qianxue calmly, but he was secretly laughing in his heart. You little brat. You really thought I didn't know you were peeking just now? He naturally understood why Leng Qianxue did this. It was obvious that she wanted to know who the sweetheart she just mentioned was. Maybe, she wants to know if I like her. You just said you have a crush on someone. We've been desk mates for many years, how could I not know that you have a lover? Why don't you tell the truth? Although Leng Qianxue pretended to be calm, she couldn't hide the nervous expression on her face. At the same time, she prayed quietly in her heart. Hurry up and say it's me, it's me. Chapter 19. I want to apply to Zhejiang University. You should know this person. Mingyu said slowly. Leng Qianxue's eyes suddenly lit up, and she continued to ask, someone I know, what's her name? At the same time, she couldn't help but feel secretly happy in her heart. Since I know her, it was most likely that the person Mingyu liked was me. Leng Qianxue was full of confidence. Among her friends, only Tang Xueruo could compare with her, while Leng Qianxue was slightly inferior. However, Leng Qianxue is also an extremely outstanding girl. If she hadn't been on top, then Leng Qianxue would definitely be the school belle. Apart from these two, the rest are far behind. She could guarantee that Mingyu's sweetheart would definitely not be Leng Qianxue. As for Tang Xueruo? Sorry, they didn't know either of them. So after thinking about it, there is only one possibility that Mingyu's sweetheart is her. Thinking of this, Leng Qianxue's heart was filled with joy. I'll keep her name secret for now, but I will study hard in the next period of time and try to get into the same university as her. Mingyu smiled mysteriously. If he wanted to go to Zhejiang University with Leng Qianxue, he had to make up for his shortcomings in the remaining two subjects. However, considering his current strength, Zhejiang University is just an easy school for him. After all, his math and science scores have reached a very high level. As long as he works harder in the other two subjects, he can reach the admission score of Zhejiang University. The most important thing is that he can't tell Leng Qianxue that the person he likes is her. After all, Leng Qianxue is ready to pursue him, so shouldn't he enjoy the process? Is that so? Then what is your target university? Leng Qianxue asked. Of course it's Zhejiang University. Mingyu said with a smile. Zhejiang University was the university that Leng Qianxue attended in her previous life. What? When Leng Qianxue heard this, her playful expression suddenly stopped and her eyes became a little dim. At this moment, her heart was filled with loss. It seems that Mingyu does like me. She is aware of her own academic performance. How could she possibly be admitted to Zhejiang University? Therefore, in her opinion, Mingyu should like someone else. Fuck, this silly girl wouldn't think of going somewhere else, right? Seeing Leng Qianxue looking somewhat lost, Mingyu secretly thought that something was wrong. He almost forgot that Leng Qianxue's current grades made it impossible for her to be admitted to Zhejiang University, and she didn't even know that she could actually be admitted to Zhejiang University in the end. Actually, I was just joking. Zhejiang University is just my personal goal. It has nothing to do with who I like. You can also understand it this way. I don't have anyone I like at the moment. The reason I said that to that girl just now was just to reject him. Mingyu said quickly. He knew that if he didn't explain, this woman would definitely have wild thoughts, which would probably affect her mood during class. Not what he wanted to see. Are you telling the truth? When Leng Qianxue heard this, her lost eyes lit up again. She really hoped that Mingyu had not lied to her. If so, it would mean that she at least still had a chance. When have I ever lied to you? Mingyu said seriously. Okay, don't worry about these trivial matters, just focus on your studies. Then, Mingyu took out his English textbook and started memoizing words. I never knew Mingyu's goal was Zhejiang University. It seems that I must not slack off in my studies. I must work hard and go to Zhejiang University with Mingyu. Looking at Mingyu, who was studying hard, Leng Qianxue made a secret decision in her heart. Mingyu has been studying very hard recently, so if she wants to go to the same university with him, she can no longer slack off. This man is the one I like, no one else can be my boyfriend. Afterwards, Leng Qianxue started to study frantically. Mingyu had never expected that, because of him, Leng Qianxue would actually change ahead of time and start to review frantically. However, according to her memories from her previous life, Leng Qianxue only started to work hard in her studies in the second semester of her senior year in high school. The power of love is indeed strong. Leng Qianxue thought secretly in her heart as she looked at the problem-solving skills in the exercise book. I have to choose a good time to confess to Mingyu. In fact, the scene of the girl stuffing the love letter into Mingyu's hand today made Leng Qianxue feel full of crisis. She felt that if she didn't seize the opportunity, Mingyu might be snatched away by someone else. But she was also a little worried. What if she was not the one he liked and was rejected? For a moment, Leng Qianxue's heart was filled with confusion. In this way, the morning passed. Baby, how is the situation going? Do you know who Mingyu likes? Li Qinqin came over to ask as soon as the get out of class was over. Mingyu said he doesn't like anyone, and his behavior just now was just to reject others. Leng Qianxue said with a smile. I see, that's a pity. I was so sure that he liked you. Li Qinqin looked regretful. It seemed that there would be no gossip to eat today. She had been overthinking. You. Put away your gossipy face. From now on, I will study hard. Leng Qianxue said seriously. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye it was December 1st. Today is Monday, and at this moment the valuation of Bitcoin has reached the terrifying level of $1,009. Mingyu looked at the numbers jumping on the computer screen and narrowed his eyes slightly. According to memories from previous lives, the peak moment of Bitcoin's valuation was $1,210. At this growth rate, it will reach its peak tomorrow and then slowly decline. So the valuation of Bitcoin will decline, but it will still remain around $300 or $400 in the next few years. It is now afternoon, and the valuation of Bitcoin has reached $1,150. Mingyu narrowed his eyes and thought it was time to sell it. He didn't want to wait until tomorrow. After all, accidents could happen at any time. If he couldn't sell all the bitcoins quickly tomorrow, he would be the one who lost money. Moreover, the profit has increased from over $100 to over $1,000. He has already earned enough and cannot be greedy anymore. In the classroom. Are you sure you want to sell it today? I feel that Bitcoin will continue to grow. After receiving Mingyu's message, Leng Qianxue showed a conflicted expression. During this period, the price of Bitcoin has been growing wildly as if it was possessed, soaring from more than $300 to more than $1,000. It is really terrifying. Yes, it is because he is a little crazy, so selling it early is the wisest choice. Otherwise, when it falls, we will be the ones who lose money. Mingyu said seriously. Afterwards, Leng Qianxue handed the phone to Mingyu for operation. Chapter 20 Getting Rich. After a while, Mingyu sold off the 1,210 bitcoins that he and Leng Qianxue had purchased together, plus Leng Qianxue's 83 bitcoins. The selling price he listed was $1,160. Although it was $10 higher than the market valuation of Bitcoin, he was absolutely confident that someone would buy it. After all, there is still a short distance from the peak of Bitcoin valuation, and he only sold more than 1,000 Bitcoins, which is insignificant to the entire Bitcoin market. Okay, I've already posted the transaction, and I'm just waiting for the buyer to purchase it. Once the transaction is completed, we can withdraw the money directly. After doing all this, Mingyu said with a smile as he handed the phone to Leng Qianxue. Yeah. Leng Qianxue nodded, and then immediately sent a text message to Tang Shuero. After all, Tang Shuro said before that her father bought it for 600,000. After sending the text message, Leng Qianxue attended class seriously and then reviewed. Ding ding ding. Time passed slowly and soon it was time to go home from school. Leng Qianxue sat at the guest table, carefully calculated the valuation of Bitcoin, and then smiled excitedly. Mingyu, if we can really sell all the Bitcoins we have at $1,160, then the amount we can receive is $1,403,600. Converted into RMB and minus the handling fee, we can receive 9.6 million renminbi. Oh my god, it has soared more than 9 times. After deducting the cost of 1.11 million megabytes, we made a total profit of 8.49 million renminbi. This is too scary. I have never made so much money. When she thought of this, Leng Qianxue revealed a money grubber expression. Good. After splitting it in half, each of us can get 4.2 for 5 million renminbi. Mingyu said with a smile. Although it is not as much as 10 times as imagined, it is acceptable at more than 9 times. With Bitcoin's valuation changing so dramatically, selling it in advance is the best and wisest option to protect yourself. After all, this time Bitcoin has changed in time, and no one can predict what changes will happen next. Yes, that's more than 4.2 million. That's too much. We are rich. Leng Qianxue almost jumped up with excitement, and at the same time, Leng Qianxue was also extremely excited. She bought 83 bitcoins and sold them at $1,160, which converts to $96,280 in US dollars. After converting it into RMB and deducting the handling fee, it would still be 600,000 renminbi. Even if she gives 50% to Mingyu, she will still have 300,000 renminbi in her hands. It only took a dozen days for the size of the file to increase from 80,000 megabytes to 300,000 megabytes. It would have been unbelievable to her in the past. It would be impossible to earn 300,000 yuan in just over 10 days, unless the money dropped from the sky. Okay, now we are all considered small rich people, we must celebrate. Leng Qianxue said. Of course. Without any hesitation, Leng Qianxue agreed immediately. Sure, where do you want to celebrate? Mingyu also nodded. I think there's a great seafood restaurant in Leng Qianxue. Leng Qianxue suggested. Generally, high-end restaurants are more expensive, but that restaurant is different. It offers a buffet set meal that only costs 388 per person. Of course, the price is much more expensive than other buffet restaurants, but there is a reason why it is expensive. The seafood is absolutely fresh, the quality is guaranteed, and there are many varieties. Although the prices are high, the restaurant is still crowded with people. Especially on weekends, you have to register and queue up to eat at their restaurant. Yeah, I think that's fine. He had been to the seafood restaurant run by Leng Qianxue several times in his previous life and it was very popular. However, he didn't have that much money in high school, so he only went there once or twice occasionally after he started earning his own money in college. Beep. Suddenly, Leng Qianxue's phone screen lit up, followed by a series of messages appearing. Leng Qianxue opened it and saw the information that the Bitcoin had been successfully traded. Afterwards, she suppressed her ecstasy and opened the Bitcoin-specific app, where the transaction order had already been completed. This means that the transaction of 1,210 Bitcoins purchased jointly by himself and Mingyu and 83 Bitcoins of Leng Qianxue has been completed. As long as she withdraws cash from her account, the millions of dollars will be immediately deposited into her bank card. Comrades, I have good news for you. Our Bitcoin has been traded successfully. Leng Qianxue handed the mobile phone screen to Mingyu with a happy look on her face. So fast. Mingyu's eyes fell on the transaction information on the app, and he couldn't help but be a little surprised. In less than an hour, all of them were sold out. Sure enough, the valuation of Bitcoin is still rising at an extremely fast rate, otherwise those people would not have bought his Bitcoin so quickly. Yes, and I have already withdrawn the money from the account. Our money will be credited within 24 hours. Leng Qianxue said excitedly. It won't take 24 hours, it will only take about an hour. Mingyu said with a smile. So fast. That's amazing. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go eat quickly, and we can divide the money directly after dinner. Leng Qianxue almost jumped up with excitement when she heard this. This was the first time she made money since she was a child, and the amount was as high as several million. It's so exciting. That's about right. Looking at Leng Qianxue's smiling face, Mingyu couldn't help but reveal a doting smile. Then what are you still hesitating about? Let's get going. Seafood restaurant, here we come. Thinking that she would have to wait another hour for the money to arrive, Leng Qianxue became impatient. She might as well go to the restaurant to eat earlier, at least that way she could endure the time more easily. Okay. Mingyu and Leng Qianxue also agreed. After leaving school, they did not choose to take a taxi, but chose to ride their bicycles to the seafood restaurant. Although the journey was far, as long as they rode faster, they could arrive in about 30 minutes. And in Leng Qianxue's opinion, being able to ride a bike with the one she loves and enjoy the evening breeze is an extremely enjoyable thing, except that there is a bigger light bulb next to her. Leng Qianxue had never thought that Leng Qianxue could be so annoying. These sisters were too ignorant. 30 minutes later. Leng Qianxue. After the three arrived at the square, they first parked their bicycles and then went to the commercial city together. Leng Qianxue and Leng Qianxue naturally held hands, while Mingyu acted as a flower protector. Should we notify Xueru? Leng Qianxue asked. Forget it. Xueru lives on campus and it's not convenient for her to go out. Besides, they can't skip evening self-study classes at their school. After a little thought, Leng Qianxue shook her head and said. Chapter 21 Sister, I'll give you a chance. Leng Qianxue and the other person are day students, unlike Tang Xueru. They can apply to stay at home even for evening self-study. Therefore, if they go out shopping and eating at night, they only need to inform their families. However, Tang Xueru is different. Not only does he live on campus, but he also has the restriction of evening self-study. Therefore, he cannot go out in a short period of time. Moreover, Hangzhou No. 1 Middle School is far away from Leng Qianxue, and it will take about an hour even if you take a taxi. It is now 7 o'clock in the evening rush hour after get off work, and there is a high possibility of traffic jams on the road, which may take an hour. That makes sense. Leng Qianxue nodded and continued. Have you told Xueru about the sale of your Bitcoin? Of course. Leng Qianxue waved her phone. I sent her a text message the first time, and she said she had already told her dad. Suddenly, Leng Qianxue's gaze fell on Mingyu in front of her, and she said in Leng Qianxue's ear with a smirk on her face. Baby, how's your confession preparation going? Leng Qianxue's eyes drooped as she looked like a deflated balloon when she heard that. I don't know either. Anyway, every time I get to the last minute, I just can't take that step. Whenever she thought of this, she felt extremely depressed. On Monday, she had many opportunities to confess her love to Mingyu, but every time she really walked in front of Mingyu, she simply couldn't open her mouth. Baby, how can you be a coward at such an important moment? How about this, I'll create a chance for you to be alone together later, you must seize the opportunity. Leng Qianxue was full of ideas, she immediately thought of a way and then said. Anyway, there are only 3 of them tonight, so after dinner she will find an excuse to leave and let Mingyu send Leng Qianxue home. The journey is long, and with so much time, Leng Qianxue will definitely be able to defeat Mingyu. Still not. There's no need to be so anxious to confess. Leng Qianxue's eyes suddenly dodged, her pretty face flushed, and she stole a few glances at Mingyu from time to time. No, that won't do. You must confess your feelings tonight, otherwise I will tell Mingyu that you like him tomorrow morning. Looking at Leng Qianxue, who looked nervous and unconfident, Li Qinqin shook her head helplessly and could only use coercion and inducement. Don't, let me talk to him myself. Leng Qianxue waved her hand quickly. Something as sacred as confession must be done by oneself. Otherwise, love without a sense of ritual, is that still the love I want? Very good, baby, remember what you said and give me news tomorrow. If you don't take action tonight, you can't blame me tomorrow. Li Qinqin said viciously. Her best friend didn't even know how dangerous her current situation was. A girl had confessed to Mingyu this morning. With the first one, there would definitely be a second one. If this continued, it would be disastrous. If you don't act quickly, you won't even notice that the corner of the wall has been torn into pieces by others. Okay. I know my limits. Leng Qianxue said helplessly. It seemed that she had to take some action tonight. Otherwise, with Li Qinqin's character, she would really tell Mingyu about it. No, Qinqin, why do you keep encouraging me to confess? Leng Qianxue looked at Li Qinqin with a strange expression on her face. Ever since Li Qinqin found out that she liked Mingyu, she had been encouraging her to confess her feelings, and was even more anxious than she was. What do you think? It must be my best friend. I hope you can be happy. Look at Mingyu. He is not only handsome, but also a good money maker. He is simply a perfect boyfriend, okay? If you miss him, you will definitely regret it for the rest of your life. As your best friend, of course I have to consider you. So, listen to me and don't be timid. Take action tonight. Li Qinqin said directly by listing a bunch of benefits. But in fact, she had another purpose in instigating Leng Qianxue to confess. If Leng Qianxue was really together with Mingyu, with a mind like Mingyu that is so good at making money, she would definitely have many opportunities to make a fortune with him in the future, and as his girlfriend and best friend, she would naturally be able to share in the profits. Just think about it, not only did her best friend get love, but she also got wealth, which is really killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Of course, Li Qinqin is not a greedy person. If Mingyu is a bad person, she would never let Leng Qianxue be with him. After all, the relationship between them is real and cannot be compared with the fake girlfriends on the internet. I always feel that you have some ulterior motive. Leng Qianxue looked as if she wanted to see through Li Qinqin. Although Li Qinqin's words were righteous, she always felt that something was missing. But she was too lazy to think about it. As her best friend, she trusted Li Qinqin 100%. Baby, where are your car keys? Give them to me right now. Li Qinqin suddenly spoke. Here. Leng Qianxue habitually took out the key and handed it to her, then asked, Don't you have a car? Why do you need my key? That must be to give you a chance to be alone with Mingyu. Li Qinqin shook the key in her hand and said with a sly smile, After dinner, tell Mingyu that the key is missing, and then I'll take the opportunity to ask him to take you home. This way you can have some time alone together, and then, you know what will happen. No. Leng Qianxue became anxious when she heard that, and hurriedly tried to snatch the key back. But Li Qinqin had already anticipated Leng Qianxue's actions, and immediately put the key into her school bag. Leng Qianxue failed to get the key back, and she suddenly became anxious. If Mingyu's bicycle was an ordinary bicycle, it would not affect Li Qinqin's plan, but Mingyu's bicycle was a folding bicycle, a bicycle with only 1 seat. If Mingyu were to take me home, where would I sit? On that bar? Wouldn't that mean the 2 of us would be in close contact? Thinking of this, Leng Qianxue's face turned as red as an apple. Isn't this a bad idea? Usually only boyfriends and girlfriends can do this, right? And I have to confess my love to him tonight. What are you talking about? Mingyu in front heard Leng Qianxue scream and turned around and asked. Qianxue just now. Why you? Just when Li Qinqin was grinning evilly and wanted to deliberately reveal some information to Mingyu, Leng Qianxue quickly covered her mouth in a hurry. We didn't talk about anything, just some private things between best friends. Is that so? Mingyu's gaze fell on Leng Qianxue, whose pretty face was flushed, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He naturally knew that Leng Qianxue's big reaction must have something to do with him. Are these two women going to get into some dirty stuff? Or are they going to do something bold? Chapter 22. I support domestic mobile phones. What's with that expression on your face? Don't let your imagination run wild. Okay, the restaurant is right in front of us, let's go eat quickly, I still have to review tonight. Looking at Mingyu's meaningful expression, Leng Qianxue's face turned even redder. Could it be that he heard what we two just said? Okay. Mingyu nodded with a smile. He knew that Leng Qianxue was so thin-skinned that if he continued talking, she would be so shy that she would try to find a way to hide. Then they stepped into the seafood restaurant. There is no doubt that Leng Qianxue will pay for it. Mingyu said that he only had small change on him, and as for Li Qinqin, she had spent all her private money on Bitcoin, so naturally she didn't have much money. Although Leng Qianxue currently has only 50 yuan left in her bank card, she can easily borrow a few thousand yuan by sending a QQ message or something. For rich people, a few $1,000s is just a small amount of money. After payment, Mingyu and his friends started to select seafood. They caught all the sharks, big opium, big sea eels, and big mullets in one pot. In addition, they also picked many kinds of shrimps, such as mantis shrimps, green shrimps, large shrimps, and lugu shrimps. Crayfish are a common type of shrimp. The restaurant not only provides food choices, but also has special chefs to cook them. You can choose different ways to make it according to your personal preferences. There are stews and deep frying. Then, the three of them began to eat. More than an hour later, all three of them burped loudly in unison and lay down on their seats feeling full. Bite. At this moment, Leng Qianxue's mobile phone screen suddenly lit up. She opened it and saw that the withdrawal had been received. Mingyu, Qin, the withdrawal has arrived. Leng Qianxue's eyes fell on the more than 10 million in the bank account, and he couldn't help but exclaimed. More than 9 million of it belonged to her and Mingyu, and the rest belonged to Li Qinqin and Mingyu. Comrades, come quickly so we can split the money. Leng Qianxue's eyes were filled with excitement as she began to divide the money. She directly transferred 80,000 yuan of capital and 300,000 yuan of profit to Li Qinqin. As for Mingyu, Leng Qianxue first asked him for his bank account number, and then transferred to him the 300,000 renminbi dividend he shared with Li Qinqin and the 4.2 for 5 million renminbi dividend he shared with her. All in all, Mingyu's account had an additional 4.525 million renminbi. Next, Mingyu set his sights on buying a mobile phone. Huawei, Xiaomi, and Apple are all mobile phone brands with good quality, but people like Mingyu who are full of patriotic feelings naturally chose Huawei. Of course, choosing to use an Apple phone does not go against patriotic sentiments. After all, Apple's quality is indeed relatively better, and the lifespan of the phone alone is something Huawei cannot match. For example, in terms of gaming battery life, Apple is much better than Huawei. Due to the smoothness of the system, you won't feel any lag even if you buy an Apple phone and use it for many years, but it's different for Android phones. But for Mingyu at present, these are not problems. The mobile phone card is stuck, and I have plenty of money to change it. I'll go buy a cell phone first and then take you back later. Mingyu said after a little thought. Anyway, there happens to be a commercial city in Lingqian Plaza, so there must be a mobile phone store. I might as well buy one so that I don't have to come here specially to buy a mobile phone in the future. Oh yeah, I almost forgot you don't have a cell phone, buy one now. Otherwise, if I want to contact you, I have to see if you are online on QQ. Leng Qianxue nodded repeatedly after hearing this. Okay, then Xue, you accompany Mingyu to buy it. I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Li Qinqin's eyes rolled, and she immediately thought of an excuse to leave. Then, without waiting for Mingyu and the others to react, she trotted away. Forehead. Mingyu and Leng Qianxue looked at each other, both feeling a little embarrassed. How about, together? Mingyu asked tentatively. Since Leng Qianxue chose to stay, she must want to be alone with him. Otherwise, even if Li Qinqin went far away, Leng Qian would be able to catch up with her. After all, they are best friends, so Leng Qianxue naturally knows where Li Qinqin's home is. Okay. Leng Qianxue nodded shyly. This was her first time being alone with a man, and it was someone she liked. For a moment, she was filled with shyness and nervousness. Then, Mingyu stood up and walked towards the mobile phone store. Leng Qianxue followed with her hands on the corner of her clothes, her pretty face flushed. Her eyes fell on the couples walking side by side. After struggling for a while, she still suppressed the tension in her heart and walked to Mingyu's side, walking side by side with him. "Qianxue, please help me pay for the phone later." Although Mingyu's current assets amount to more than 4.5 million, he does not have a mobile phone at all, and it is impossible for him to bind a bank card, so he has no money to pay for the purchase of the phone. "Why would I need to borrow such a small amount of money? Without your help, how could I possibly earn over 4 million? I'll just give you a cell phone. You can't refuse," Leng Qianxue said generously. A mobile phone costs only a few thousand RMB at most, which she didn't think much of in the first place. Moreover, she now has more than 4 million in her bank account, so those few thousand yuan are insignificant. "I'd better obey your command," Mingyu said with a smile. A few $1,000s is really nothing to them nowadays. Even Huawei's latest mobile phone, Huawei P7, launched this year, only costs around 4,000 yuan. Compared with the deposit of more than 4 million yuan, it is simply insignificant. And once he buys the phone, his real money-making plan will just begin. As long as he is willing, becoming a billionaire is just a matter of time. This is the advantage of rebirth. "Mingyu, which mobile phone do you like?" Leng Qianxue asked. "Huawei," Mingyu said immediately, and the mobile phone store he was going to was Huawei's exclusive mobile phone store. "I didn't expect you to choose Huawei. I thought you would choose to buy Apple. Apple phones are very easy to use," Leng Qianxue asked with a puzzled look on her face. Both of these two brands are big names, and the quality is actually very similar. "Personally, I still want to support domestic products," Mingyu explained with a smile. "Is that so? Then I will buy a Chinese mobile phone in the future." Har har. Leng Qianxue doesn't have any special requirements for mobile phones. For her, as long as it works, it's fine. After a while, Mingyu and his friend arrived at the mobile phone store. As soon as they stepped into the mobile phone store, the staff inside immediately greeted them with a smile. "Are these two guests here to buy mobile phones?" "Yes." Mingyu nodded and said straight to the point, "I want to buy a Huawei P7. Chapter 23 I lost my keys." "No problem, sir, this way please." The staff member led Mingyu to the exclusive counter where Huawei P7 was placed with a smile. Then, she pointed at the various models on the counter and introduced them with a smile. "Huawei P7 has sky mirror, azure blue. I wonder which model you like, sir." "Sky Realm. Just pack it up," Mingyu said lightly. He knows the performance of Huawei phones very well. Therefore, in order to save time, he was too lazy to listen to the staff introduce the performance of the mobile phone. "Okay, I'll pack it for you right away." Some of the staff were stunned at first. They had never seen anyone buy a phone without even checking its performance. It took them several seconds to react. Then, she quickly packed their Huawei P7 in the sky mirror color. Then the staff took out the POS machine with a smile on his face and said, "Sir, the total is 4,399. Do you want to pay by card or cash? Swipe the card." At this time, Leng Qianxue came over and took out the bank card. "No problem." The staff member looked at Leng Qianxue with some surprise. She didn't expect that the person who paid the bill would be this beautiful girl. I think the relationship between the two is not ordinary. Of course, the staff didn't think Mingyu was a gigolo. After all, judging from his appearance alone, Mingyu is extremely outstanding. Coupled with the extraordinary temperament that he vaguely reveals, it seems that he is not an ordinary person. Soon, Leng Qianxue successfully made the payment. "Mingyu, do you have anything else to buy?" Leng Qianxue looked up and asked after taking out the bank card. "Not yet, I can handle the rest myself," Mingyu said. A mobile phone is a must-have tool for making money. In addition, now that they are in the square, he naturally does not want to waste time buying one somewhere else. After purchasing the mobile phone, he plans to activate online banking immediately. With online banking, he can do it more conveniently. Not only that, both Jifubao and Weixin can be bound to bank cards. If you want to buy something in the future, you can just take your mobile phone with you. Cash is no longer necessary for him. Even if some stores are remote and do not have QR codes, he can take his mobile phone to stores that specifically support QR code payments and exchange cash with merchants. It can be said that life has become convenient with a mobile phone. That's fine. Leng Qianxue nodded. Yeah. I think it's a bit late, let me take you home. It was already around 5:30 in the afternoon before they came to the square, and it was almost 6 o'clock when they arrived at the square. They spent more than an hour eating dinner, and now it is almost 9 o'clock in the evening. Yeah. Leng Qianxue lowered her head, her voice as tiny as a mosquito. At the same time, her heart was full of nervousness, and she thought secretly. My keys were taken away by Leng Qianxue. How should I explain this to their bicycle parking area? Do I really have to share a bicycle with Mingyu? And sit on the bar in such an intimate manner? But I haven't told him my feelings yet, and as a girl, isn't this a bit unreserved? What if Mingyu hates me? For a moment, Leng Qianxue was filled with confusion. As for the image of the aloof and distant school beauty in the past, she had no idea where it had gone. Qianxue, why are you standing there? Unlock the bike quickly, let's ride back together. After Mingyu opened the search, he found Leng Qianxue standing there in a daze, not moving at all, and quickly reminded her. I'm sorry. I seem to have lost my keys. Leng Qianxue said shyly, hesitating. This was the first time she had told a lie since she was a child, and she was extremely nervous. Although she didn't want to lie to Mingyu, she couldn't tell Mingyu that Leng Qianxue had snatched away her key, right? So she had no choice but to tell a white lie. The key is lost. Mingyu looked at Leng Qianxue with a strange look when he heard that. His eyes fell on her shy expression and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. He seemed to have thought of something. Yes. Leng Qianxue lowered her head. She was nervous at the moment and her pretty face was flushed. She couldn't let Mingyu find out. In that case, then I can only drive you back. Mingyu's gaze fell on the shy Leng Qianxue. He suppressed the smile in his heart and deliberately pointed to the pole in front of the car. Since Leng Qianxue's behavior is so obvious, he can't let go of this lamb that has been delivered to his door. It was obvious that Mingyu had already noticed Leng Qianxue's intention. The lost key was just an excuse for him to be alone with Leng Qianxue. Of course, Leng Qianxue would definitely not be able to think of this method. It must have been Leng Qianxue who thought it up. After all, according to his understanding, even if Leng Qianxue liked him in her heart, she would not come up with such a method. But since Leng Qianxue did not choose to expose it, it seems that she actually agreed. In this case, Mingyu might as well follow their wishes. But aren't our behaviors a little too intimate? After all, we are just classmates. Leng Qianxue's face was as red as an apple, full of shyness. The word classmate at the end was emphasized, as if to remind Mingyu, or to express something else. Besides being classmates, we are also friends. What's wrong with being closer? Mingyu said meaningfully. He naturally knew that Leng Qianxue's words were to warn him that they were just classmates. But if he can seize the opportunity to confess, then their relationship can turn into boyfriend and girlfriend. At that time, even if Leng Qianxue sat on the front bar of the bicycle, it would not matter. But it is impossible for him to confess his feelings. He has not yet enjoyed the happiness of being pursued by the school beauty. Why should he end this happy process? Since the school beauty likes me so openly, I might as well wait for her to confess to me. At this moment Mingyu just wanted to have more fun. If it were someone else, facing the love of the school beauty, he would probably have lost control and confessed his love. Hearing Mingyu's irrelevant words, Leng Qianxue was almost furious. She said viciously in her heart, "You idiot, is your brain a blockhead? How come you can't see my intention?" However, she was unable to snatch Mingyu, and it was completely intentional. Otherwise, she would have ignored her goddess image and grabbed Mingyu's ears and turned them around. Okay, hurry up and come up. It's getting late. I have to take you back quickly. If you don't come up, you'll have to walk, okay? Mingyu's gaze fell on Leng Qianxue's expression, which looked tense but helpless, and he couldn't help but smirk in his heart. Chapter 24, Even though the prosperity has faded, my original love for you remains the same. Compared to her usual aloof appearance, Leng Qianxue at this moment looks like a fairy who has experienced all the worldly affairs and is extremely adorable. If other boys in school saw me like this, they would definitely drool. I can't go up. Leng Qianxue saw that Mingyu had no intention of taking any action, so she could only walk forward with a wronged look on her face. Looking at the distinctive front bar of the bicycle, she struggled internally for a while, then shyly closed her eyes, then slowly sat on it, holding the steering wheel in front of her tightly with both hands. Mingyu curled the corners of his mouth and also put his hands on the steering wheel. As Mingyu's hand fell on the steering wheel, their bodies naturally touched lightly. To outsiders, Leng Qianxue seemed to be held by Mingyu at this moment. However, the posture of the two people at this moment, coupled with the physical contact, is no different from a hug. Leng Qianxue felt the warmth coming from behind her, and she lowered her head even more, her face flushed red. Not only that, ever since Mingyu got in the car, her heart started beating wildly. In addition, her heart was filled with a strange sweet feeling. Sure enough, I really like him. At this moment, Leng Qianxue finally understood her own feelings. If she didn't really like Mingyu, her body would naturally resist when they came into physical contact. However, her body didn't resist at all just now, and instead she enjoyed it a little. Only when facing your loved one will you feel his embrace is warm and happy. But Mingyu didn't know what Leng Qianxue was thinking. After fixing his position, he started riding his bike to leave the square. The handsome man and beautiful girl rode a bicycle together, and naturally they were seen by other boys in the square, who all looked at them with envy. It has to be said that with Leng Qianxue's super high looks, she will be the focus of everyone's attention wherever she goes. Leng Qianxue and Mingyu's behavior of riding a bicycle together naturally made the boys around them feel sad. Of course, there are also many girls who are jealous of Leng Qianxue. After all, Mingyu is also very handsome. As for those people around me who are still single in their 20s, I feel even more jealous. I feel like I am living a life worse than a dog, while others are already in relationships in their teens. And they don't even have a goal. It's really frustrating to compare yourself with others. At 9 o'clock in the evening, the streets of Hangzhou are extremely bustling. On a road, there is a bicycle moving slowly, at a speed only slightly faster than an ordinary person running. Mingyu looked at Leng Qianxue, who was standing in front of him with a calm expression and looked like a fairy, and his heart couldn't help but beat wildly. No matter in the past or present life, he has always been the girl he has been thinking about day and night. She is sitting in front of him. At this moment, he just feels extremely happy in his heart. Neither of them spoke, quietly enjoying the evening breeze of Hangzhou. Leng Qianxue naturally knew that Mingyu's cycling speed was a little slow, but she did not remind him. After all, this was what she wanted to see. In this way, she could spend more time with Mingyu. Time passed slowly, and soon Mingyu brought Leng Qianxue to a place not far from her home. Mingyu. Leng Qianxue's gaze fell on the position where everyone was not far away. Her eyes struggled slightly, and she suddenly spoke. Well, I'm here. Mingyu was stunned for a moment, then spoke. You, am I the one you like? Leng Qianxue covered her heart, which was almost jumping out of nervousness, mustered up her courage, and said to Mingyu with a blushing face. Although she was extremely quiet along the way, she was actually looking for the right opportunity. Now that home is almost there, if I don't express my feelings to Mingyu now, I'm afraid there won't be time. Although this was a rhetorical question, it actually meant that she was confessing to Mingyu. What? Leng Qianxue's words caught Mingyu off guard, and in a hurry, he pulled the handbrake to the maximum. Fortunately, they were riding slowly to begin with, otherwise both of them might have been thrown out. Can you say that again? Mingyu stared at Leng Qianxue and suddenly became nervous. Although he had known Leng Qianxue's feelings for a long time and wanted to wait for her to pursue him, Mingyu was still caught off guard when he actually heard Leng Qianxue say those words to him in person. Although Leng Qianxue was asking him a question, Mingyu understood that she was confessing to him. If she didn't have you in her heart, how could she say such an inappropriate thing? I mean, am I the one you like? Leng Qianxue's eyes were tense and she stared straight at Mingyu. Although she was still a little nervous in her heart, it was much better than before. As Leng Qianxue raised her head, her angel-like face came into Mingyu's sight. At this moment, they were facing each other, with their heads only 6 centimeters apart, and even the slightest breathing sound could be heard clearly. Is that so? The person I like. Mingyu raised his lips slightly, looking at Leng Qianxue's expression that seemed like her heart was hanging on her throat, and then he said softly, "Of course it's you." Although this situation deviated from the plan, Mingyu was already satisfied. He knew that it was not easy for Leng Qianxue to say this to him, and she might have mustered up her greatest courage. If I tease her again and tell her that I don't like her, I'm afraid this girl will be heartbroken. Although he enjoyed being pursued by the school beauty, the prerequisite was that Leng Qianxue would not feel wronged by it. After all, making his loved one sad is definitely not what he wants. Moreover, Leng Qianxue's words already represented her confession to him. Really, really? Leng Qianxue looked at Mingyu's piercing eyes with some disbelief, and the tension on her face turned into surprise. In addition, Leng Qianxue's pretty face was flushed, and she even pinched her thigh secretly, fearing that she was dreaming. Of course. In fact, I already fell deeply in love with you before you fell in love with me. When we first met, I fell in love with you at first sight, and since then I vowed to pursue you. Even if the prosperity is over, my original intention towards you will not change. Mingyu's gaze fell on Leng Qianxue's beautiful face and he spoke lovingly. At this moment, he not only expressed his deep affection for Leng Qianxue in this life, but also expressed his regrets in his previous life. Although he still had a relationship in college in his previous life. After all, this society is so prosperous that adults are bound to be a little restless. Someone will definitely ask here, if you already have someone you like, why do you still want to date someone else? This is typical behavior of a scumbag. But Mingyu said, can anyone be a scumbag? The hard requirements for being a scumbag are very high, okay? Chapter 25 confirming the relationship. Well, if that's the case, why don't you tell me what you feel? When Leng Qianxue heard this, the nervous expression on her face turned into joy, and then she became a little angry. She pinched Mingyu's face with her hand, pretending to be angry. This guy is too much. If he likes me, why didn't he confess his feelings to me earlier? He even wants a girl like me to confess. That is too much. I do this, naturally I hope you'll say it first. Mingyu showed a very annoying smile. Forehead. Leng Qianxue felt speechless when she heard this. Oh my god, how could I fall in love with such a guy? What's with that annoying expression? Is he poisonous? You, how can you bully a girl like me? Leng Qianxue pouted, looking angry. Yes, I am bullying you. I will bully you to the end as long as the sea dries up and the rocks crumble. Mingyu looked at Leng Qianxue's charming face, and suddenly his arms directly hugged Leng Qianxue's waist. While Leng Qianxue was stunned, Mingyu kissed Leng Qianxue's thin lips. You? Feeling the warmth coming from her mouth, Leng Qianxue's brain short-circuited. There was only one thought left in her mind. My first kiss was taken away just like that. The kiss lasted for 5 minutes. Just when Leng Qianxue felt suffocated, Mingyu slowly loosened his arms. Leng Qianxue shyly pushed Mingyu with her hand, then turned around, her pretty face flushed, and she lowered her head, too shy to speak. Oh my god, Mingyu kissed me, is this what a kiss feels like? It was so soft and sweet. I'm going crazy. My first kiss is gone just like that. If my dad knew, he would probably beat me to death, right? At this moment, Leng Qianxue was confused and her brain was short-circuited. At this moment, Mingyu slowly walked over and gently held Leng Qianxue in his arms. At the same time, Mingyu rested his chin lightly on Leng Qianxue's right shoulder, his mouth against Leng Qianxue's neck, and spoke softly. Qianxue, I like you. Boom. Mingyu's words were like thunder from heaven, exploding directly in Leng Qianxue's mind. Then she turned around gently, raised her head a little nervously and looked at Mingyu. Although Mingyu said before that the person he liked was her, it was different this time. This was Mingyu's affectionate confession after kissing her. The tender eyes and their voice as warm as the sun melted Leng Qianxue's heart. Me too. After Leng Qianxue finished speaking, she turned her head away shyly, no longer daring to look at Mingyu's tender eyes. At the same time, her little hands tugged at the corner of her clothes, her chin was almost buried in her chest, and her face became even redder. Qianxue. From today on, you are my Mingyu girlfriend. Mingyu gently hugged Leng Qianxue's waist and uttered gentle yet domineering words. Okay. Leng Qianxue's words were as light as a mosquito. If it was nighttime and no one was around, Mingyu really wouldn't be able to hear what she said. This girl is too thin-skinned. Okay, let me take you back first. It's almost 9:30 now. If Leng Qianxue is not sent back, her parents may get worried. Okay. Leng Qianxue nodded shyly. Let's go. Afterwards, Mingyu gently carried Leng Qianxue to the front pole of the car, then stepped on the pedals and drove forward. After a while, Mingyu drove to the luxurious villa area 100 meters ahead. There is a sign in front of the villa area with the words Qingshan Lake District written on it. The word Qingshan has a profound meaning. The architectural style of the villa area is mostly antique. Looking around, you can see towers and pavilions everywhere, giving people an antique feeling. This villa area can be said to be one of the most luxurious villa areas in Hangzhou. Not many people have the financial resources to buy a villa here. After all, the price of any villa here is 60 to 70 million yuan. Mingyu narrowed his eyes slightly. It seems that he has to set a small goal to buy 5 or 6 sets within half a year. That's right. I can do whatever I want because I have money. Okay, just send it here. After Mingyu drove the car to the gate of the villa area, Leng Qianxue walked down from the front of the car and looked at Mingyu with reluctance. Only 10 minutes had passed since they confirmed their relationship, and now she had to part with her boyfriend. Her heart was filled with reluctance. Although we can meet again tomorrow morning, the night is long. How can we get through it? Okay, go to bed early after you go up, and see you tomorrow. Mingyu looked at Leng Qianxue with gentle eyes and reached out to smooth the messy hair around her ears. Okay, then you have to miss me, okay. Leng Qianxue held Mingyu's hand with reluctance on her face. Of course I do. My girlfriend is so pretty. I have to think about you hundreds of times a second. Mingyu smiled slightly, then pulled Leng Qianxue's hand, held her in his arms, and gently pressed his lips against Leng Qianxue's forehead. I have proved myself with my actions. What about you? Will you miss me? I will miss you very much. Leng Qianxue's face was full of shyness. Looking at Mingyu's handsome face so close to her, her heart started beating uncontrollably again. Since you are my girlfriend, can you give me a kiss goodbye before we go? Mingyu gently scratched Leng Qianxue's nose with his hand and said tenderly. Even though they had just kissed for a long time, Mingyu still wanted to kiss again. After all, his girlfriend's mouth was so soft and sweet. Leng Qianxue was a little panicked when she heard this. This is downstairs from my house, it's so obvious, what if someone sees it? Immediately, Leng Qianxue looked around in panic. Okay, stop looking. There's no one here. Mingyu gently tapped Leng Qianxue's forehead, and before she could come to her senses, his mouth was directly pressed against Leng Qianxue's cherry lips. Woo woo. Mingyu's boldness was beyond Leng Qianxue's expectations, but after struggling a little, she closed her eyes and enjoyed the kiss with Mingyu. Not only that, her delicate hands unconsciously wrapped around Mingyu's neck. The two of them kissed passionately at the entrance of the villa area, not caring whether anyone noticed or not. After a long time, the two were reluctant to part. Afterwards, Leng Qianxue walked back home with a happy pace. Mom and Dad, I'm back. After Leng Qianxue came in and greeted everyone, she changed into a pair of Barbie casual sandals at the door. Although her expression had returned to normal at this moment, she still felt a little guilty and took out her cell phone screen to check if her face was red. She had to make sure it was foolproof, otherwise it would be troublesome if her parents found out. Chapter 26, Is This Girl in Love? Xue, you're back so late. Zhang Peixian, who was lying on the sofa watching a show, looked up and asked. As for me, I was so busy chatting with Qin and the others that I didn't notice the time. That's why I came back so late. Leng Qianxue said with an unnatural expression. From childhood to adulthood, she has never lied to her parents. At this moment, her heart is full of tension, but she can only choose to lie, otherwise her parents will know that she is in a relationship, otherwise she doesn't know what the consequences will be. If his parents objected, not only would she be blamed, but Mingyu might even be beaten up by her father. After all, her father is a complete daughter con. Of course, maybe her parents wouldn't object, after all, they are usually very open-minded. Although she was still a little worried, Leng Qianxue felt that her parents would agree. After all, she knew her parents' personalities. But the possibility of opposition still exists. What if her father gets upset and goes directly to Mingyu with a kitchen knife? I must keep this hidden, and must not let them know before college. Oh no, I must not let them know before I graduate from high school. Okay, Mom won't talk to you anymore. I have to go back to my room to review. I have to go to bed soon. In order to prevent her mother from finding out the truth, Leng Qianxue decided to hide in her room first. She had originally planned to tell her family today about how she was making money and show off to them. but unfortunately things took a sudden turn and she was with Mingyu ahead of time. In order to avoid accidentally exposing herself, she decided to wait a while before telling them that she had earned millions. Why does this girl feel a little bit wrong? Zhang Peixin's gaze fell on the figure of Leng Qianxue, who was fleeing in panic, and her eyes narrowed slightly. She always felt that this girl seemed to be hiding something. Is this girl in love? Suddenly, Zhang Peixin couldn't help but think, and the more she thought about it, the more she felt that it was very likely. Leng Qianxue, who fled in a panic, had no idea that her seemingly wise actions were full of loopholes in the eyes of her mother. Thinking of this, Zhang Peixin immediately took out her phone and called her husband Leng Qianxue. However, the second after she pressed the dial button, she hung up the phone. No, this won't do. With Leng Qianxue's girl-obsessed personality, if he knew about this, he would probably go looking for her with a kitchen knife. Besides, I'm just guessing about this girl's love affair, I have no evidence. Yes, I still need evidence before I can tell him. Zhang Peixin muttered to himself while holding the phone. As soon as Leng Qianxue returned to her cozy little house, she immediately took a shower, changed into her beautiful pink pajamas, and then happily jumped onto the bed. Leng Qianxue hugged the teddy bear doll on the bed, and when she thought about what happened today, she couldn't help but smile foolishly. He. I didn't expect that Mingyu and I were really together, and we even kissed today. Suddenly, the sweet memories of today kept playing in Leng Qianxue's mind. As Leng Qianxue thought about it, she revealed a crazy smile, and excitedly hugged the doll tightly, rolling around on the bed. At this moment, she didn't care about her image as a lady. She just felt that she had never felt so happy. What a wonderful thing it is to like each other. Beep. At this moment, the screen of the mobile phone on the bedside table lit up. Leng Qianxue stopped rolling and picked it up. It turned out to be a message from Li Qianxin on WeChat. Qianxin, honey, are you home now? Eating watermelon expression. Angel Shuer, you come to see me now, I have already finished taking a shower. Speechless expression. Master Qianxin, hey, isn't she busy with something? How is the situation between you and Mingyu going? Qianxin, come on, tell me, have you confessed to him? With a lecherous expression. Angel Shuer, you see, you are only so enthusiastic when you are listening to gossip, I don't want to tell you. Sunder expression. Leng Qianxue remembered that Li Qianxin sold her out tonight. Lady Qianxin, baby, look at what you said. Without my behavior, how would you have the chance to get along with each other? Qianxin, regardless of whether you succeed or not, this precious opportunity to be alone was earned by your best friend with all her efforts and sacrifices. You must not be ungrateful. Expression of emotion. In a residential apartment, Li Qianxin watched Leng Qianxue's recovery and couldn't help but feel a little angry. This woman is simply destroying the bridge after crossing it. How excessive. Angel Shuer, it would be fine if you didn't mention this, but once you mention this I want to beat you up, are you giving me a chance? You're just like carrying me to the guillotine. Grenade bomb. When she thought of this, Leng Qianxue was filled with relief. Fortunately, Mingyu liked her. Otherwise, if she acted so recklessly and was rejected, she would not know how to lose face. Leng Qianxue felt a pang of fear when she thought about the consequences of her confession being rejected. That scene must have been very difficult. Qianxin, okay, baby, stop keeping me in suspense and tell me the result right away. Expression of begging for help. Angel Shuer, I can tell you the result, but not tonight. Smug expression. Even if you ask you to sell me out, I won't tell you. I'm sure you'll lose your appetite tonight. I'm going to keep you awake. He. Qianxin, honey, you are being petty. Angry expression. Qianxin, but, from what I know about you, you must have succeeded, otherwise you wouldn't be chatting with me so calmly. Proud expression. Lady Qianxin, baby, please tell me about your progress quickly. Did you hold hands, hug, or kiss? Angel Shuer, aren't you amazing? Then guess. With a sly smile. Lady Qianxin, you are so good, Leng Qianxue, now you are so proud of yourself, you even dared to keep me in suspense. Li Qianxin bit her gums in anger. At this time Mingyu had already returned home. He looked at the clock at home and it was already 10:30. Because his mother would get up at 5 o'clock every day to make loving breakfast for Mingyu, both he and his wife would go to bed early. Compared with Leng Qianxue and Li Qianxin's families, Mingyu's family is relatively poor. The place he lived in was just an old community house of no more than 100 square meters, which was bought by his father with the money he earned from doing business when he was young. But unfortunately, his father failed in business and owed a large sum of money. In the end, he had to sell his property to pay off the debt. Now all they have left is this house. After failing in business, Ming's father no longer dared to touch business and could only choose to go to work honestly. Chapter 27, Video Call for Young Couples. Although their salaries were not high, fortunately, their lives were getting better little by little, and last year their family had officially paid off all their debts. Of course, they have wealthy relatives in their family, but the reality is too cruel, and family affection is worthless in the face of interests. When their family had money, all those relatives would come to them with flattering faces, trying to curry favor with them. But after his father's business failed, everyone looked at them like the plague, fearing that his father would borrow money from them. However, after experiencing this incident, their family saw the true colors of those relatives. Since then, they rarely interacted with each other. Even during the Chinese New Year, they rarely greeted each other. At most, they might meet during the Qingming festival every year when they worshipped their ancestors. After taking a shower, Mingyu lay on the bed and took out his newly bought Huawei P7. The first thing he did after getting a mobile phone was to register a WeChat account for himself. After receiving the verification code on his mobile phone, he successfully registered his WeChat account. After completing the binding of the mobile phone number, Mingyu immediately told Leng Qianxue the good news that he had registered with WeChat. In less than 3 seconds, a small red dot popped up on his WeChat page, which was a friend request from Leng Qianxue. Whether it is QQ or Weishan, Leng Qianxue's nickname is Shuer Angel. But Leng Qianxue is indeed, as her name suggests, she looks like an angel and has a good family background. She is simply a perfect existence. Angel Shuer, Mingyu, are you back home? Astronomy and geography, I arrived here more than 10 minutes ago. Angel Shuer, Mingyu, I miss you so much. Astronomy and geography, I miss you too, how about we have a video chat? Angel Shuer, okay, wait a moment, I need to get some headphones first. Then, Leng Qianxue jumped up from the bed with great excitement and went to the bedside to look for the headphones. She has to wear headphones during video chats, otherwise it would be troublesome if her mother noticed. After a while, Leng Qianxue, wearing headphones, requested a video call to Mingyu. After the video call was connected, Mingyu, who had just finished taking a shower and was shirtless, immediately caught Leng Qianxue's eyes. Wow, my boyfriend has such a great body. I think he has 8-pack abs. Leng Qianxue's eyes fell on Mingyu's body, and a glow of excitement appeared in her eyes. The boy's bare chest was like using a powerful move against the girl, and Leng Qianxue said she couldn't withstand the destructive power. You slut, where are your eyes? Mingyu naturally saw Leng Qianxue's infatuated look and couldn't help but laugh and scold. How am I perverted? Don't talk nonsense. Leng Qianxue argued shyly, but her blushing face made this explanation seem extremely pale. I suddenly feel like I've been at a disadvantage. You actually saw me with my bare chest. Why don't you show it to me too? Mingyu said with a squinting look on his face. You're just dreaming. Who would make such an outrageous request? When Leng Qianxue heard this, her pretty face turned even redder, like a delicate flower about to bloom. How come I didn't notice that he was so lecherous before I was with him, and now I want to look back at him? You wish. How could a lady like me do such a thing? How is that considered hooliganism? We are boyfriend and girlfriend, and what you did is justified. And I only act like a hooligan to you. If you say that I'm being a hooligan, then I was also being a hooligan when I kissed you that night. Why didn't you resist? I saw that you looked like you were enjoying it. Mingyu grinned wickedly. His girlfriend was so adorable. How can I look like I enjoy it? You are slandering me. I did resist, but girls are weak. How can I resist you? Leng Qianxue would never admit to this matter. They had just confirmed their relationship, and her first kiss was taken away by Mingyu. If her best friends knew about this, wouldn't it be very embarrassing? Yes, you absolutely cannot admit it, and that kiss was just an accident. Do you think I believe what you say? Seeing Leng Qianxue's anxious explanation, Mingyu couldn't help but curl the corners of his mouth slightly. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. I have the final say here. Leng Qianxue blinked her big watery eyes and said seriously. Okay, you have the final say. But if I kiss you next time, you have to resist. I still vaguely remember that someone hugged my neck while kissing me. The force was so strong that my neck was almost broken. Mingyu said as she touched his neck with a painful expression. That expression was as if his neck was really in pain. You said it was someone, so it definitely wasn't me. Leng Qianxue talked nonsense seriously. If Mingyu hadn't experienced this, he might have actually believed it. Afterwards, the two young lovers started chatting about everything under the sun. Mingyu knew that Leng Qianxue was very shy, so he didn't tease her with any other inappropriate topics afterwards. Time passed slowly, and the two of them kept video chatting until nearly 2 a.m. before hanging up the phone and going to sleep. Vertical day. Mingyu got up early in the morning. He looked at the clock and it was just past 5 o'clock. He was still a little dazed at the moment, but he suppressed the sleepiness in his heart, opened his phone and sent a message to Leng Qianxue. Nuanuan's boyfriend must not fall behind in what he should do. Astronomy and geography, silly girl, are you up? After sending the message, Mingyu went to the bathroom to brush his teeth and wash his face. Just after Mingyu washed his face, his mobile phone screen lit up. He opened it and saw it was a message from Leng Qianxue. Angel Schwer, you got up so early. I just got up. Astronomy and geography, since you lost your car keys last night, I'll go pick you up on my bike. Angel Schwer, okay. Then you can just wait for me at the gate of the villa area. Angel Schwer, when you arrive at our community soon, please remember to send me a message in advance so that I can be ready to go out. Happy expression. Astronomy and geography, yes. In that case, I want to have breakfast at home. Let us eat together later. Angel Schwer, okay. Astronomy and geography, wait for me, I'll leave right away. Angel Schwer, yes. I really want to see you soon. Hug expression. Afterwards, Mingyu put away his phone, packed up briefly, and prepared to go out. Mingyu, let's have breakfast before we leave. Ming's mother brought the cooked porridge to him, but when she found that Mingyu wanted to go out, she couldn't help but ask in surprise. Mom, you eat first. I have an appointment with my classmates. We'll eat together outside later. Okay, it's too late, I have to retreat first. After saying this, Mingyu hurried out.